Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. You need a water filtration system, you need a water softener, you go to betterwater.com. Really excited about the show today. We got a lot to get to, a lot of news. There's more fallout from the fraud in Minnesota. We're going to have my friend Josh Tifo from Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action in studio at 11 a.m. today. But first, I would like to say a very, very happy anniversary to my beautiful wife and best friend, Virginia. I love you. Happy anniversary. You know that today is actually 3 years since the first show I ever did on Super Talk 99.7.
Wow.
She let me do it on our anniversary. We talk a lot about Mason or Joan Jones in the newsroom or Ken Weaver, but one of the unsung heroes of this radio show is my wife, Virginia. She has saved myself from myself multiple times, and she's always running a test focus group for me in the background. She's a big part of the show. She's a big part of my life. She's given me 4 beautiful children, and I would just like to say happy anniversary to my best friend. Can't wait to celebrate with you later tonight. And as an anniversary gift, I picked up an extra shift in Little Rock that I'll be doing this afternoon.
Heck yeah.
So happy anniversary. I love it, man. She's the best. She is literally been my number one supporter. Even when I said, listen, I'd like to get into talk radio, I'm probably going to get called a bunch of awful names and people are going to hate me for it. And she said, cool. I said, all right, let's go. She's always got my back, and you should find yourself a nice, conservative Christian girl like I did who's going to give you plenty of kids because that is honestly the most important thing. Everything else is fake. The only real thing that you're going to leave behind is the kids and the legacy, and I'm just grateful that I have a wonderful wife that's helping me build that. You should get one too. It's good. It's good for the soul. So shout out to my wife. Happy anniversary, and I can't wait to celebrate with you later on this evening. That being said, there's a lot of news. Don't think, Virginia, if you're listening, don't think that because it's our anniversary, I'm not going to be yelling about Somalis. In fact, because it's our anniversary, I'm going to yell about Somalis even more. Happy anniversary. We got a lot to get to. But seriously, I am very grateful for my wonderful wife, and I can't wait to see you later on today. Happy anniversary. With the news of the day, there is a lot to get to. The biggest news story of the day is going to be circling around the fallout from the Nick Shirley video in Minnesota. It is stunning to see what a young 23-year-old can do when he puts his mind to it. It gives you a lot of hope for the future. It really does. You're seeing a lot of change happen very, very quickly because of Nick Shirley. And Nick, to his credit, he's a young guy, but he knows why this is possible. And he thanked the guy that made this possible yesterday, that man being Elon Musk. Nick Shirley was on InfoWars with Alex Jones, and he said, guys, none of this is possible without Elon Musk.
What he's done has helped shape society in many ways, whether it be the election or whether it just be making it so that we can all speak freely here in the United States. And you're seeing the ripple effect across the other countries as well. Just thank you. Really, thank you, because what he did by just leveling out the playing field and giving us a platform where we can speak freely, he's not only helped save the United States, he's helping save the United Kingdom, as people are actually able to speak out, whether or not they're able to speak out all across the world. I mean, X is the #1 news source for most countries in the world right now, because that people are able to get that news just straight from their phone without having to go through and get a subscription from the Wall Street Journal to get some propaganda piece. You can get it straight from your phone. You can follow the people that you trust and that are actually out there in the streets talking to people. So thank you, Elon Musk, because what he's done has helped shape society in many ways, whether it be the election or whether it just be making it so that we can all speak freely here in the United States. And you're seeing the ripple effect.
You're seeing the ripple effect. We are. We're seeing the ripple effect in real time. As we zoom out and we get decades down the road, we're going to look at Elon Musk buying Twitter, turning it into X, as one of the pivotal moments in American history. That is not hyperbole. That's reality. It's one of the most consequential things that has ever happened in this country. it restored free speech. It gave a 23-year-old kid like Nick Shirley, who would have never been given the time of day under the old regimes of social media censorship and legacy media, they would have never given his reporting the time of day. But because of that purchase of X, there's over 120 million views on this expose on Minnesota fraud. Because of that expose, you're seeing a lot of action happening right now. Now, I don't know where it's going to go, and I pray that we see silver bracelets. I do. I pray that we see accountability. I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch, but we are seeing things that give you a little bit of hope. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the DOJ is surging fraud investigations in Minnesota, saying Nick Shirley's work helped show Americans the scale of fraud in Tim Walz's Minnesota. The DOJ has been investigating this for months. So far, we have charged 98 individuals, 85 of Somali descent, and more than 60 have been found guilty in court. We will continue unraveling this scheme, and we will charge and convict those behind it. Thank you, Nick Shirley, and local media in Minnesota for doing the kind of journalism that so many outlets used to do. The people of Minnesota deserve better. Out of that whole statement, the part that should be underlined in bold is the people of Minnesota deserve better. And I think that that's what we all understand. I think the people of this country deserve better. The citizens need to be put first again. This is why we voted in Donald Trump and the Trump administration. What we're seeing from the Democrat establishment, be it the media or the politicians, it's just disgraceful and gross. They're pointing the finger at Nick Shirley. They're saying, you didn't figure anything out. This is old news. What are you talking about? And it's like, guys, you haven't reported on Somali fraud since December 18th. Literally, Mediaite ran a story 2 days ago that CNN and MS Now, I don't want a dead name, and MSNBC, but they hadn't run a story on the Somali fraud since December 18th. Nick Shirley's reporting exposed a lot of that. And we're getting a lot of gems coming back to the surface because of Nick Shirley's reporting. A lot of Tim Walz classics have been hitting rotation again because of the Nick Shirley reporting. Have you seen this on social media, the viral videos? This is Tim Walz in 2022.
We're a state of immigrants that values that. We have more refugees per capita than any other state. That's not just morally a good thing. It's our economic and cultural future. This beautiful diversity we see out in Worthington when I'm there, you see 50 languages spoken in the school, and you see every storefront filled with different types of foods, different types of businesses that are happening. Minnesota needs to continue to do that. The office of governor can set the tone on that.
He set the tone, all right. Talk about a clip that ages like milk. He said we have more refugees per capita than any other state. Odd flex. Then he said, that's not just morally a good thing. It's our economic and cultural future. Fast forward 3 years, and the economic and cultural future of Minnesota is the Somali pirates are raiding the treasure chest. Weird. That's not the only clip from Tim Walz that's been making the rounds because of the Nick Shirley reporting. Another clip from 2024. You remember the vice presidential debate? We actually watched this live at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro, and it was one of the most fun debates that I've ever been able to watch because Tim Walz just had the floor mopped with him. Remember that debate? I'm friends with school shooters. Ugh, yikes. Remember when you thought that was going to be the worst clip to come out of the debate? No, it turns out that this one was the worst clip to come out of the debate.
Or go to the businesses and ask them. As far as childcare on this, you have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. You can't expect the most important people in our lives to take either our children or our parents to get paid the least amount of money. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and then to make sure that folks are able to pay for that. We were able to do it in Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this. We were listed as the best state. We're still in crisis on this. A federal program of paid family and medical leave and help with this will enhance our workforce, enhance our families, and make it easier to have the children that you want.
We have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and to make sure folks are able to pay for that. Well, it's certainly easy to get into the business. It's certainly easy to apply for the federal grants, and that's been on full display. Thanks to the reporting from Nick Shirley. Just yesterday, finally, the mainstream media has been forced to report on this. I know. Are you shocked? I'm shocked. I thought that they were going to try to avoid it as best they could. Although, when you get over 120 million views on social media, it's a bit hard to continue to ignore. When it becomes the biggest story in the country, despite the blatant ignoring done by legacy media, You gotta do something to save face. And MSNBC tried to do that yesterday. We had a guest on. I keep dead naming them, and I apologize. On MS Now, we had a guest on MS Now. The New York Times, Mara Gray. Mara Gray was on MS Now yesterday, and she said, "Guys, the far right, the alt right, they're going after Somalis here. They're scapegoating the Somali community. It has nothing to do with the fact that the Somali community is the one committing the fraud. It has to do with the far right scapegoating them."
So absolutely, it should be investigated. The question is, why is this a priority in a different kind of way? The politicization of the DOJ and the FBI is undeniable. So whether they are reliable narrators is the big question. And this is what happens when you weaponize and politicize federal agencies that are not meant to be, politicized. And I think the American people are right to ask the question, well, can we trust you? And that's a sad thing to say as an American. Let's recall, too, that there's also other scandals in other states. For example, the Mississippi welfare scandal. And this is not unique to politics. Americans know that. But, of course, the other factor here is that because it looks like the Somali population in Minnesota, the Somali immigrant population may have been involved in some way, those people are being scapegoated, and that community is being scapegoated in a way that certainly serves the far right.
Listen, guys, this serves the far right. The Somali community is being scapegoated. It has nothing to do with the fact that they have self-segregated, refused to assimilate into America, despite coming over here, having 3/4 of their population on the government dole, receiving some sort of government benefit in Minneapolis. No, they're being scapegoated. Being scapegoated. Has nothing to do with the billions upon billions of dollars in fraud that has been exposed via the Feeding Our Future scandal or the diagnoses of autism where autism wasn't present or the billing for services that were never rendered. It has nothing to do with that. This is the far right scapegoating the Somalis. Got it. Okay. Tim Walz's office has also had to release a statement. You can tell that they're panicked in this statement. You can tell that their palms are a little bit sweaty, knees weak, arms heavy. Is that mom's spaghetti? Should I not do that? I probably shouldn't do it. I won't do it. But they're nervous and they're panicked, and you can understand why. Because the spotlight has been shown in the darkness, and everybody is looking at what's going on in Minnesota. Everybody's looking at what's going on in Minnesota, don't you know? And they're going, who the hell is supposed to be in charge here? And why aren't they doing anything? So the Walz administration has responded. Fox News had the call of that yesterday.
Federal agents are now on the ground in Minneapolis going door to door to some of these businesses that are suspected of fraud. Federal prosecutors say the total fraud in Minnesota could ultimately be more than $9 billion. After Shirley's video went viral, Governor Tim Walz's office defended his handling of this growing scandal, telling Fox News the governor has worked for years to crack down on fraud and asked the state legislature for more authority to take aggressive action. He has strengthened oversight. They go on to say he is now taking steps to stop it from happening, including creating a statewide fraud prevention program. But state Republican lawmakers argue that Walz has had 7 years to address this and has done almost nothing, despite whistleblowers saying they have been sounding the alarm the entire time. Just this past hour, a group of those lawmakers said they are now calling on Walz to resign, even as he's currently running for re-election.
He won't resign. In fact, I'm sure that the Democrats in the state are going to actually rally behind Tim Walz on this. As crazy as it may sound, they're going to say that this is the weaponization of the Justice Department. Trump is targeting his political enemies, and they're going to completely ignore and avoid the conversation circling the Somali fraud. Don't worry, though. Tim Walz he's strengthening oversight. Don't you stress. Tim Walz is on the job. Do you feel confident? Do you feel confident? I don't. Minnesota Commissioner Tiki Brown says none of the Somali daycare and child care centers exposed by Nick Shirley for fraud have had any of their federal payments halted. That's interesting. There's a lot more to this story. The only statement that we've gotten from Tim Walz is that they're gonna strengthen the oversight. And the last one that I can remember from Walz on the Somalis was earlier in December when he was asked about it. I think this was December 12th or maybe like December 18th. He was asked about the fraud. Oh, December 12th. He was asked about the fraud. And he said, do you want more accountability from the Somali leaders? And do you know what Walz said? This is how you strengthen oversight. He said, well, what about the white people?
Do you want to hear more from members and leaders from the Somali community to say, we need to look at ourselves, we need to hold our own neighbors accountable, because look at the damage that this has done to our community. What do you want to hear more from, instead of just saying, don't blame us? Do you want to see more ownership and oversight from within the Somali?
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable.
Got it. Sure, the Somalis are pillaging the federal funds, saying their kids have autism, saying that they're feeding hungry kids. But have we talked about white men enough? It's a good point. We'll dive more into that on the way. 922, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Head into 2026 with the most affordable, best health insurance you can find on the market. It's Chris Hand here from my friend Shane Ring over at Cover Nash, and Shane can take care of you. He can make these health insurance dreams a reality. Maybe you missed open enrollment and you're kicking yourself. You're like, dude, I wasn't paying attention in October, and now I don't have health insurance for the entire year. You know that's the biggest myth in health insurance, that you have to wait for open enrollment. That's just what the big guys want you to think. With Cover Nash, you can get covered today, right now, with no waiting and no gimmicks. You missed open enrollment, no problem. You lost your job coverage, Shane can help you out. You're just sick of overpriced junk insurance? Well, you're in the right place. Cover Nash partners with over 75 top-rated insurance companies, including brand new nationwide PPO options with deductibles as low as $250, flat $50 doctor visits, even for specialists, ACA-compliant plans with free preventative care like physicals or colonoscopies. Not that you're excited about that. Nobody is. But you are excited about being done overpaying. You are excited about not waiting any longer. And this is a good thing to be excited about, knowing that you're not stuck. Call my friend Shane Ring today at Cover Nash, 615-465-0023. That's 615-465-0023. If I'm a betting man, Shane's at his desk right now waiting for your call, or you can book some time with him online, covernash.com.
Coming up here, a train derailment in Kentucky, and it involves a dangerous fire and hazardous materials. We've got an update for you coming up. And a Utah judge releases the transcripts from the first hearing for Charlie Kirk's accused killer. Those stories at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. 928 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Mason Fleming is producing. You can listen to the show anywhere. iHeartRadio, tune in, the FM dial. You can watch us as well. Super Talk TV, up and running. The best places to watch, YouTube and Rumble. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends. Help us grow the digital footprint of the radio station in 2026. We need you to do it. It'll help everybody on the station. Even if you don't like me, you'll help somebody that you do like Matt Murphy or Dan Mandis, or Chad Benson, or our lovely news anchor, Joan Jones.
Yay.
You'll help see? You wouldn't want to make Joan disappointed now, would you?
Clearly not. I'll come slash some tires if you do.
Hit like and subscribe if you like your tires. Appreciate you, Joan. Thank you. Thank you. Note to self, don't ever piss off Joan. It's just for me. Also, don't piss off 23-year-old YouTubers. It does feel so disrespectful calling Nick Shirley a YouTuber. It really does. It reminds me of how they call us conspiracy theorists. It's like,
but also on the other side of the coin of that is, even if they call him a YouTuber, they're saying that it's a compliment. Like, he's just a YouTuber and he was able to get it. How come you folks weren't able to get it?
I mean, I hear you. I hear you. But everybody's diving in now that Nick Shirley has exposed so much. Just yesterday, Minnesota's licensing lookup page for childcare was completely down. They were overwhelmed by the amount of people going to the website trying to look into this. And it's just fed up citizens seeking some information, seeking the truth. And this is a movement that was sparked by a 23-year-old. There's a lot of good that's coming from what Nick Shirley did.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know him personally. I've met him a couple times. He always seemed great. But what this does for the future generations, like, you think about that 16-year-old kid who's looking at 23-year-old Nick Shirley going, well, he did it. What's stopping me? And the ripple effect that's going to come of that. You know, we played a clip earlier in the show. Nick Shirley's talking about the ripple effect of Elon Musk buying X. Well, part of that ripple effect is a 23-year-old kid inspiring a 14-year-old kid. And what that's going to do for the future generations is just unbelievable. Don't underestimate the influence that this has and who it's influencing. Nick Shirley's done a lot of good work. It hasn't stopped people like Jessica Tarlov from The Five to completely discredit him as quickly as she could. It hasn't stopped Abby Phillips from CNN to completely take a crap on him as quickly as she could yesterday on her show. And we'll bring you those clips as well as the fallout from the Nick Shirley reporting on the way. It's 9:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with the latest stories, and first responders are on the scene right now of a train derailment in Todd County near the Tennessee border between the town of Trenton and Pembroke. It involves somewhere between 12 and 14 train cars, and at least one of those cars is on fire. At the moment, residents have been told to shelter in place and turn off their HVAC system, so turn off the heat on this cold day if possible. Now, it is possible that the train was hauling some type of molten sulfur, which is hazardous. Crews have diverted traffic from Highway 41 and 475. We're going to stay on top of this story as the day goes on. President Trump with a surprise announcement that the U.S. has conducted a land strike in Venezuela. ABC's Selena Wang.
This appears to be the first time that the U.S. has carried out a land strike inside Venezuela after launching dozens of deadly strikes on alleged drug boats. But the president is providing few details, only to say that there was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. But the president refused to say whether the military or the CIA were involved in this operation.
Now, CNN is reporting exclusively that this was a drone strike and it was carried out by the CIA. No casualties reported. A Utah judge releasing the transcript from the first hearing for Charlie Kirk's accused killer, Tyler Robinson. Judge Tony Graff agreeing that public transparency is foundational to the judicial
For the
system.
above reasons, the court orders the following. A transcript of the October 24th, 2025 hearing shall be redacted in accordance with this order and entered into the record.
Now, the redacted audio version will be out in about 2 weeks. That hearing that took place in October, Robinson was allowed to dress in street clothes, but the judge ordered him to remain in handcuffs during the hearing. That's the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley don't want you to spend another day in pain. How does 2026, starting a pain-free life, how does that sound for you? It sounds awesome, and it's doable. If you're dealing with back pain, neck pain, sciatica, herniated or bulging disc, knee pain, numbness in your arms or legs, you need to know that the Wellness Institute of Nashville is here to help you. Dr. Mitchell and his team just got their hands on the first and the only HydroWave in Tennessee. This is a brand new device that stimulates stem cells for real cellular healing with no surgery, no needles, no opioids. You pair that with their non-surgical spinal and knee decompression, and this is about as advanced as it can get. These guys are going to use anti-gravity machines, robot lasers. They'll take the time to actually review your MRI and explain what's happening and how to fix it. How to fix it without surgery, without injections, without opioids. A pain-free life is yours and available for 2026. It is possible, but it starts with a phone call to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Or book an appointment online, painisbad.com. It's 9:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. You need a water filter? Of course you do. BetterWater.com. You can listen to the show anywhere. iHeart, TuneIn, the FM dial. You can watch us as well. YouTube and Rumble up and running. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends. Why would you want to watch a radio show on your TV? Well, we'll have video for all of the audio that you hear on your radio. And some of these clips you're going to want the video for because they're amazing. Absolutely amazing. We're talking about the fallout. I'm telling you. Mason had a day off yesterday, so he's been itching to hit a hotkey.
Listen, I'm a little slow today. I'm trying to catch up.
Well, welcome. Everybody thought Mason actually quit and started working at In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to work at the best burger.
He got a paper hat and he posted a joke on his Instagram, and people were like, "Did you leave the show?"
Yeah, I got
it happened.
4 different messages saying, "Hey, are you done with radio?" And I was like, No. It was a joke, guys. It's just a third job.
Honestly, it would probably pay more than here.
Yeah, actually, I was looking at the numbers.
We were crunching some numbers during the break.
Also, I get a free lunch there. I mean,
sign me up.
Tips?
Sign me up for the free lunch.
I don't know if I could take tips there. I might be able to swing an iPad around without telling the manager and be like, "Hey, tip at your own convenience."
Yeah, there you go. You know your tips are not taxed anymore, right?
I know.
Yeah. Just thought I'd throw that in.
So good.
Shout out
so
to
good.
47. Yeah. Tax refund season on the way. They say it's going to be the biggest one ever. I'd rather just not have the government taking all my money, though.
Amen.
I mean, yeah.
You know what I mean? Does anybody else feel like that? I can do it better. I don't need to loan you money to give it back to me.
I could waste my money in a different way. Stop doing it for me.
Also, when you look at Minnesota and you see billions upon billions of dollars just disappearing, and nobody seems to worry about it or know why or where it's going or seem to care, doesn't it just annoy you? Like, wow, we really are getting taxed way too much. Way too. If billions of dollars can go missing, you're being overtaxed. You're being completely overtaxed. How much was the tax on the tea that sent the founding fathers over the edge? Yeah, they wouldn't be happy. I don't think they'd be happy. Do you think they'd be happy? Probably not.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think they'd be impressed. I don't think George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or, any of those guys would have said, calm down. It's not all the Somalis. I don't think they would. I don't think they'd be impressed. When Tim Walz was asked a couple weeks ago, is there going to be any more accountability for the Somali leaders? And he said, well, what about the white people? I don't think George Washington or Thomas Jefferson would have been very impressed.
Do you want to hear more from members and leaders from the Somali community to say, we need to look at ourselves, we need to hold our own neighbors accountable, because look at the damage that this has done to our community. What do you want to hear more from, instead of just saying, don't blame us? Do you want to see more ownership and oversight from within?
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable.
What about the white people, says Governor Walz? Yeah, I don't think George or Tommy, I don't think they would have been impressed. Do you think Thomas Jefferson got called Tommy? Or do you think that's just me? I would have called him Tommy. Some people are looking for accountability when it comes to Governor Walz. It's Minnesota Republicans. The lawmakers in Minnesota are pretty pissed, understandably so. They're seeing what's happening. They're seeing the state get completely ripped off. And they're like, what are we doing this for? Minnesota lawmakers are now looking into impeachment articles against Governor Tim Walz. We talked yesterday about a recall effort. There's a lot of hoops to jump through in a recall effort in Minnesota for the governor. And with the re-election here, I think the best bet is just putting up a good candidate. Minnesota lawmakers are really kicking their feet. And one gubernatorial candidate, Minnesota Rep. Kristen Robbins, was on Fox News yesterday, and she's talking about impeachment articles. She's talking about getting Tim Walz out of office. And I think that's the route we need to go. If Tim Walz doesn't want to resign, Tim Walz should be impeached.
Absolutely. I called for the governor to resign several weeks ago. I just think his dereliction of duty is unconscionable. These whistleblowers have been sounding the alarm for years. We've had hearings for almost a year now, holding his agencies accountable. He's not fired anyone. He's not taken steps to stop the fraud on the front end, and he continues to make excuses. So
he's not fired anyone. He hasn't fired somebody by accident. He's not fired one single person. Dereliction of duty.
I would absolutely want him to resign, as I said weeks ago, or I know others are looking at articles of impeachment, but he is responsible. He has turned a blind eye for 7 years, and we need to clean house in the executive branch.
Absolutely right. 100% correct. Minnesota lawmakers are looking at articles of impeachment. Tim Walz needs to be held accountable. If he doesn't want to resign, he should be impeached. What is taking so long? I think that's the real question. How much more fraud do you need to be exposed before you say, okay, Tim, time to pack up the governor's mansion? I know you and your wife love it. I know you have fond memories here of smelling the tires burning while Minneapolis was being ripped to shreds, but it's time for you to pack it up. That's what needs to happen. Because there's no way that Tim Walz didn't know what was going on. We know that whistleblowers were in his ear chirping, and he ignored them. Why did he ignore them? Well, I don't think he wanted to piss off the Somali community. But to think that Tim Walz is just an unwitting bystander in all of this is just a huge joke. Chip Roy was on Fox News yesterday, and he said exactly that. It defies all logic and reason to believe that Governor Walz was ignorant of what was happening in Minnesota.
So let's just talk about Walz and his credibility here when he says that he didn't know that any of this was going on when it's such a massive fraud scandal. How could he not know?
Yeah, Julie, great to be with you. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. And,
you too.
You know, it defies all logic and reason to believe that Governor Walz was ignorant of what was happening in Minnesota.
Yep.
Let's be clear. He was campaigning on it last year with respect to the campaign with Vice President Harris in her run for the presidency. He literally was talking about it. Thank God that President Trump won that election. Thank God that we do not have a Harris-Walz presidency, because they would be encouraging this to continue, whereas this president is rooting out the fraud, securing the border, stopping the flow of people into our country. But this is what happens when you have massive welfare programs that are funding people that are coming into our country, whether it's illegally or, frankly, through legal channels that are being abused by the radical left and the Marxists who want this to occur.
He's absolutely right. And for everybody that says, Trump isn't doing enough on X or Y or Z, it's really easy to say that. But when you look at what he has been able to do and what the reality would have been with a Kamala Harris, Tim Walz regime, my gosh, did we dodge a bullet. We dodged so many bullets. So many bullets have been dodged. Could you imagine if the border was still wide open and these fraud programs were still going on, not being exposed, what this country would look like in a few years? I shudder to think. Unbelievably ignorant if you think Tim Walz didn't know what was going on. Defies all logic and reason if you think Governor Walz was ignorant of what was happening in Minnesota. Chip Roy, absolutely right. Brandon Gill, Representative Brandon Gill out of Texas, was also talking about this. And Brandon Gill, I like him a lot. He tells Americans that criminal referrals and jail time are actively being sought by Congress because of the Minnesota fraud. He said this yesterday on Fox News, and I hope that he's telling us the truth and we see some fruits of that very, very soon.
Well, I think that Republicans are realizing the extent of the fraud and the problems with open borders and mass migration, and that includes bringing millions of people into the country from failed states like Somalia, where this type of fraud and corruption, that type of dealing with governments is the norm. Whenever you bring in hundreds of thousands or millions of people in from cultures like that, you ought to expect that same behavior to happen here in the United States. That's exactly what we saw. But we're working on the Oversight Committee. And listen, the goal of what we're doing in Congress now in the Oversight Committee is, as James Comer mentioned, is to find criminal referrals. It is not for show. It's not just to show that we're doing something. It is for people to go to jail. What we found, what Nick Shirley found in his investigation, and remember, this is somebody who is an independent citizen reporter, is fraud on an overwhelming scale, and he didn't have the power of subpoenas. He didn't have the power to haul people in for depositions. We do, and we're going to do that, and I hope that we can find enough evidence so that people can go to jail for this.
Criminal referrals and jail time, says Rep. Brandon Gill. This is from the House Oversight Committee. This is from James Comer. Do you have faith? 615-737-9986. Or do you think that those individuals that committed these crimes are going to get away with it like so many have before? I mean, name a case where we didn't see any resolution. Name a case where we didn't see silver bracelets. They are aplenty. Do you have any faith that this is going to turn out in our way? I hope and I pray. I have very little faith. I pray that I'm wrong, and I hope that we see it. I'm not going to count chickens before they hatch, but I do. I hope we see some real accountability. Brandon Gill went on to say it's time to severely restrict legal immigration. And when he said this, I thought to myself, yep, 100% Brandon Gill is on the money here. We do need to restrict legal migration. For many, many years, we've had to put a disclaimer in front of what we talk about. Oh, I'm only against illegal immigration. It's like, no. At this point in this country, we need to talk about pausing all immigration until we can get our hands on the situation that's in front of us. Thousands upon thousands of people that haven't assimilated, millions upon millions of people that are here illegally. We need to do some soul searching, and we need to clean it up before we allow any more individuals into this country. We have to. And Brandon Gill made that point.
Civilizations and cultures that are compatible with our own. And that is not the case with these Somalis. Frankly, I think we need to drastically reduce legal immigration. We've had millions of people coming in. It's time for the American people to assimilate, to cohere, to become one unified culture. We haven't had that for so long, but we need to take a hard look at our immigration system and make sure that it is working for our people.
He's absolutely right. Brandon Gill. I really like him a lot. But am I the only one? Is it just me? But when a guy like Brandon Gill comes onto the scene and he like seemingly came out of nowhere and you really like what he says, you kind of get a little suspicious of him at the exact same time. Maybe my brain is wired in a faulty manner. But when a guy pops onto the scene like Brandon Gill and he says all the right things, I'm like, wow, I really like this guy. And I'm incredibly suspicious about him. At the exact same time. Is it just me? Maybe I'm a little bit screwed up in the head. Maybe you're a little bit screwed up in the head too. I did a dive on Brandon Gill last night because of this. I squirreled myself during show prep, and I went down a rabbit hole.
Shocker.
Full name, Brandon Gene Gill, born February 26, 1994. He was actually born on an Air Force base in New Mexico. Went to Dartmouth College, got a degree in economics and history in 2016. He worked as an investment banker on Wall Street, but he was in politics for a while. He did some student activism at Dartmouth with a conservative publication, Texas GOP Vote, conservative media entrepreneurship with the DC Inquirer. He started that paper, boosted his profile, and he's actually married to Dinesh D'Souza's daughter, Danielle.
Interesting.
Had no idea. So he seems legit. He does. He doesn't seem like he was made in a lab.
No.
Still suspicious, but I like him.
Yeah, well, he was born on an Air Force base. There might be some lab there, but for now.
Still suspicious, but I like him. 951, Super Talk, 99.7, WTN. Chris Hand here for my friends at Better Water LLC. Mason, hit the button.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Do you have frogs in your home that you're worried about? Or just plain old bad tasting water? Weird smells, stains at the house or at the office? Well, you need to call my friends at Better Water LLC. Think about what they can do, like installing a giant Brita filter for your whole house. Or they can scale one down that just nestles right underneath the sink, or they can do one for your entire office, and they can handle everything. You might have some nasty stuff in your water. Here's what you do. You call Better Water LLC. Tell them that Chris Hand said you'll test the water for free. They will. And if they find any of the nasty stuff, they'll help you out. And the stuff is gross that could be in there. Sulfur, iron, chlorine, bacteria, E. coli. Yuck. You don't want it. If you have it, Well, you're talking to the right people. Better Water offers a range of options from reverse osmosis, specialized filters, UV lights, you name it. Better Water, they got you covered. Local company based out of Smyrna, and they want to come see you and test your water today. So stop drinking the junk out of your tap. Call Better Water, 615-355-6063, 615-355-6063, or find them online, betterwater.com.
A train derailment involving a fire and hazardous materials. We've got the latest on it coming up here at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Texters always help us out. I said we're live on YouTube and Rumble. Turns out Rumble not so much. It's a janky platform. It's a wonky platform. We've told you guys this. We've made the case. I apologize.
We're pushing. We're trying to stay connected with it. It's a little iffy.
YouTube it is. Hit like and subscribe. Share the show with your friends. I also got a text here. We were talking about Brandon Gill, 2919. I said I like him. I'm still a little suspicious. But 2919 said he was born on an Air Force base in New Mexico. Alien much? Oh, there it is. There it is. He's an alien. He's got to be. He does have the little Superman curl. Have you noticed that? He does have the Superman curl. We've been talking about the Somali fraud, and that's really one of the biggest stories in the country right now. And people are taking things into their own hands. Have you seen this? This is something that I wouldn't recommend doing. I do love that Nick Shirley is inspiring so many Americans to take matters into their own hands. But when Nick was operating in Minneapolis, he did have something called the element of surprise. And now with the magnifying glass on all these child care centers, I don't know if you're going to get the same outcome that Nick got by going to the same child care centers with a camera. Just saying. It's not stopping people from doing it. An individual went to the Quality Leering Center just yesterday, and this is how that interaction played out.
Is there fraud going on here? No, it's a video. I just want to know. What's your response? Huh?
Get the out of here.
What's your response to the allegations? Is there fraud going on here? And is there children? That's all.
Don't harass me for the here.
Get the bleep out of here, they say. The Somalis are a kind and gentle people, as displayed in the video on YouTube. It's really weird, though, because that Quality Leering Center is at the, no pun intended, the center of another controversy. See, yesterday, while everybody was going out there, they had a lot of kids going in and out of the Quality Leering Center, which was odd because Tim Walz's administration is claiming that the Quality Leering Center was closed last week. Huh. That's odd. Seems a little fishy.
You sure about that?
This is what I'm saying. Seems a little suspicious.
Coincidence? I think not.
The kids would call it sus. We'll dive into that on the way, including the claim from the Minnesota officials that the daycare center was closed. And then there's another controversy running around another one of the daycare centers that Nick Shirley pulled up, and people are confirming that these daycares are still getting full funding. We'll talk about all that and more on the way. It's 9:59, 10 o'clock now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And a train derailment tops the news right now. It has people living in the area between Pembroke and Trenton in Kentucky, so pretty close to the Tennessee line, sheltering in place right now. Now, the cars were carrying molten sulfur, and at least one of them is on fire. So hazmat crews have been called in from Hopkinsville to help with the cleanup. There may be 20 cars involved in this derailment. Now, for the folks living within a half mile of the derailment, you're being told to turn off your HVAC system and wait for an all clear. Well, it appears that sanctions on Iran are having their desired effect. Protesters have broken out across the country over soaring prices. Inflation there is now more than 40%. And the collapse of the country's currency. Meantime, President Trump may be concerned that the pressure will cause the country's leaders to take dangerous actions.
The president claims that Iran is trying to rebuild its nuclear program, and he's got a blunt warning if they do, saying we'll knock them down with consequences that may be more powerful than last time. Now, remember, it was just months ago that the U.S. dropped those bunker-busting bombs on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. The president claiming that those sites were obliterated, but says that Iran may be trying to rebuild at other locations.
That's ABC's Selena Wang reporting. A Nashville woman arrested for stealing outside the home goods store in Mount Juliet last night. Channel 4's Holly Thompson says the first giveaway was how she parked her car.
Officers say they spotted a car illegally parked in a handicapped space right there in front of the store. The car was running. Officers say they could see crack pipes right there, plain view on the dashboard.
And stolen merchandise, too. The 55-year-old woman was reported still holding a tool that's commonly used to remove anti-theft devices from merchandise. She's been charged with theft, drugs, and driving with a revoked license. It'll be a cold night for sure as Nashvillians ring in the new year at Bicentennial Park. And if you ask Dina Ivey at Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation, it will also be a safe night.
There'll be about 500 security on site. That's private and Metro PD. And we have fencing all around. We have mags you have to go through. So there's a lot of security measures that we work on all year, and we can continue to tweak every year to make it even more secure.
She also told WSMV4 she expects about 250,000 people to attend the celebration. Well, there are a few openings for serious musicians at the Kennedy Center. The number of acts that have canceled their appearances over President Trump's new name going up on the building is now at 3. President Trump has said he'll sue. Richard Grenell, who's serving as the center's president, has said on X, quote, boycotting the arts to show you support the arts is a form of derangement syndrome. That is the latest news. We've got your weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We're back up on Rumble, by the way, and YouTube.
Say it again.
We're back up on Rumble.
Say what?
We're back on Rumble.
There we go. We're on Rumble.
Hit like and subscribe. Mason, right before we got to air, I looked at him. He's like chuckling back there. I'm like, what are you laughing at? Stop laughing.
Yeah, he's trying to tell me what to do. What's going on over here?
We're talking about Minnesota fraud. Nothing funny about it.
I'm just laughing at the state of Tim Walz.
We laugh to keep from crying. Have you seen the text line? The text line has no faith that Tim Walz will resign, be held accountable, get silver bracelets. Nobody has any faith.
I'm a little hesitant as well, but I believe in our president. I think something will happen, hopefully.
I feel like, hopefully something happens. And if it does, I think we all have collective PTSD of nothing ever happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a long 4 years. I hope something happens. I don't know if it will.
I'm just hoping it doesn't follow along the lines of the files that just recently got released. It doesn't take forever. There are promises made and nothing happens until like forever down the road. So
I'm with you. 100% with you.
Hopefully a quicker timeline.
The wheels of justice move slowly, right? Isn't that what they say?
Yeah, for real.
I don't like it. I wish the wheels of justice went very fast.
At least the speed limit.
Seriously. All right, so we were talking about yesterday, more citizen journalists are showing up to the Quality Leering Center. And the Somalis, they welcome them with open arms, with kindness and generosity. And they say, come in. We'd love to show. No, that's not what they said.
Yeah, I was like, hold on.
Is there fraud going on here? No, it's a video. I just want to know what's your response.
What's the problem?
Huh?
Get the out of here.
Stunning and brave. So kind, so welcoming. So this is at the Quality Leering Center, which, if you remember from the expose, had no kids. And the locals on the street were like, there's never any kids here. And in fact, I didn't even know that this business was open. So it's wild because now that this business is under some scrutiny, they had a lot of kids showing up yesterday. A ton of kids showing up yesterday, streaming in and out all day long. The New York Post was down there. They said there's kids going in and out. Oh, look at all the kids. Look at no room for Joey, no room for Nick's son, Joey. But there's a lot of kids going in. But then something weird happened. Tim Walz is being accused of lying about the true state of the Quality Leering Center because his officials are saying that it was closed last week. Yet yesterday, under all of this new scrutiny, we're told that it's up and running and all the kids are in there. So the officials are saying it was closed last week. That's why you didn't see any kids. And the Somalis are saying we're up and running. Business is booming. So what the hell is actually going on? Local reporter in Minnesota breaks it all down.
Everyone seems to be talking about the viral video by YouTuber Nick Shirley visiting Somali-run daycares in Minnesota that receive millions in taxpayer money and showing a lack of kids present. Well, I have a strange twist for you. The daycare that's getting the most attention from Shirley's video is the Quality Learning Center, misspelled as Quality Luring Center. While answering questions today, the state commissioner in charge of licensing daycares claimed that the Quality Learning Center permanently closed 1 week ago, which would have been before Shirley filmed his video. Listen.
I will share that our team was notified that Quality Learning Center closed just over a week ago. And I believe the details that were given at that time were around space concerns. And that's what was shared.
There was too many kids, actually. Business was booming. They had to upgrade, I guess.
But after that press conference, we went back to the Quality Learning Center and vans were dropping off dozens of children. Parents and a manager told us the daycare is open and is legitimate. We saw state inspectors leaving, and we hope to find out by the end of the week if they made any new findings.
Is that not the weirdest angle on the entire story? So the daycare is closed. It was actually closed last week. That's why you didn't see any kids. But the daycare is actually open. Business is booming. And look at all these kids at the daycare. There's a cover-up somewhere, or multiple cover-ups. Both of these things can't be true at the exact same time. So are Democrat officials covering up the Somali fraud by saying, no, there was no kids because it was closed? Or are the Somalis covering up the Somali fraud by saying, no, look at all these kids. We're rocking over here? Or is it a bit of both? Is it a mixed bag? The more you dig, the curiouser and curiouser it becomes, huh? Wild. And this is all due to Nick Shirley's reporting. Nobody wants to give the kid any credit, though. Jessica Tarlov yesterday on The Five said, Nick Shirley didn't uncover any Somali fraud. Nick Shirley didn't expose anything. And I find myself going, lady, what about the Quality Leering Center right here? Like, this is brand new information. What are you talking about? Nick Shirley didn't uncover fraud. This is Jessica Tarlov yesterday on The Five. Absolutely discouraging and trying to discredit Nick Shirley because that's her first instinct as a Democrat.
Nick Shirley's reporting there's no way that this kid walking around uncovered $100 million worth of fraud on his own. There have been tons of people working behind the scenes quietly, including independent local journalists that have been exposing this. I don't know about the veracity of every single thing that he's gone and seen. That's being debated online. But obviously, there's a huge problem here. It does Democrats no favors to get partisan about this and to dig in and say, oh, it absolutely couldn't be happening because it's my team that this happened to.
So she cleans it up at the end there. Says, we shouldn't get partisan on this because, obviously there's some stuff happening. But the blatant disrespect on Nick Shirley. There's no way this kid walking around uncovered $100 million worth of fraud on his own. So, okay, so say what you will about the people behind the scenes. Nick didn't exactly hide the fact that he had a guy by the name of David helping him in the video. He wasn't hiding his sources or his methods and claiming all the credit, for the record. But put some respect on his name. Nick put his name on this. He put his face on this. And he put his safety on the line by exposing this. Nick is receiving credible death threats from the Somali community. Actual death threats. So put some respect on Nick Shirley's name, Jessica Tarlov. The kid's 23 years old, and the absolute balls to do what he's doing. How dare you? How dare you? We need more men like Nick Shirley. And we need more men like Nick Shirley setting the example that Nick Shirley set, that you can go out there, you can make a difference on your own. But the disrespect, what does Jessica Tarlov do? Honestly, besides get on a couch on the 5 and bitch and moan and tell everybody that Democrats are great, what does Jessica Tarlov actually do? Nick is out there making a difference, and the immediate visceral reaction from Jessica Tarlov is to tear him down and discredit him. She's an absolute joke, and everybody knows it. But it wasn't just Tarlov. Abby Phillips did the exact same thing. Angrily went after Nick Shirley last night on her show. Because why not, right? She said, what did she say? She said, this is about politics. Nick Shirley's reporting. It's about politics. She said, honestly, you knock on a daycare center door and you're like, let me in. And it's like, did you watch the video, Abby Phillips? Did you check out the video? In the video, he says, I have a son that would like to attend this daycare. And you have multiple Somali businesses saying, no, we're full. No. And then he looks around and says, well, where are all the kids if you're full? No, we're full. The immediate reaction from these Democrats is to tear this 23-year-old kid down and discredit him.
Because this is about politics. I get that. Politics is politics. But, honestly, you knock on the door of a daycare center and you're like, let me in. What do you expect people to do?
He didn't knock on the door and say, let me in. He knocked on the door and said, I have a son that would like to go to this daycare. Do you know what happens at a normal daycare center? They say, come on in, let's give you a tour. This is where the kids nap. This is where the kids eat. This is the peanut-free area because of all the peanut allergies. This is the toys. We clean the toys every day. The toys are so clean. Do you not understand what happens when you're a parent looking for a daycare center? Is she deliberately misleading, or does she just not understand and didn't watch the video? Is it a bit of both? Is it a mixed bag? Insane.
In some of those cases, there were children in there. What do you want people to do in that situation?
Actually, just let the record show, in none of the cases that I saw in the 42-minute video that Nick Shirley put out were there children there.
Open the door and say, come on in, when they know that the Somali community is under attack, is being threatened every single day. What is going on here?
Oh, yes. The Somali community is under attack. The Somali community is being threatened. The Somali community is committing fraud at levels that have never been seen in this country before. But if you're running a business in a city and you have a prospective parent coming in, yes, you do expect them to open the doors. I'm not even knocking the fact that they might have a bit more of heightened security, a heightened sense of awareness. Maybe they say to him, hey, we don't do tours during the day, but if you come back tomorrow between 4 and 6 after hours, we'll have somebody here that can give you an entire tour of the facility, and we can get little Joey in the daycare. You see, that would make sense, but that's not what they said. They said, no, 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 no. And they slammed the door in their faces. Time and time again. But don't let the facts get in the way. We have a narrative to push. And obviously, the Somali community is under attack. Obviously, it's these far-right extremists. 615-737-9986. My friend Larry in Clarksville is on the line. Haven't talked to you in a minute, Larry. What's up, man? Belated Merry Christmas. Early Happy New Year. What's up, dude?
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man? Yo, Larry, what's up, man? Oh, we lost Larry. Somebody check on Larry. I got a hello out of him.
Yeah.
But then we lost him.
I'll be keeping an eye out for him to call back.
We'll get Larry back on. If you got any phone calls, any comments, and any questions, 615-737-9986. Abby Phillips, very upset about the Somali fraud. Scott Jennings said it's going to keep happening until some people go to jail. And he's absolutely right. And we're not talking about the people at the lowest of levels. We're talking about the people that rubber stamped all these applications and looked the other way when things were going down. This is Scott Jennings last night on that same Abby Phillips show.
This idea that nothing is being done, that no one is being held accountable, that this was just let to run rampant is completely false.
Well, some people have been held accountable, but I think in the opinion of most Republicans, not nearly enough. And truthfully, until somebody in a position of power, until somebody in a position in Minnesota, elected position, who was in charge of administering this or having some oversight over it goes to jail, it's honestly never going to stop. Look what's going on in blue states across the country. $9 billion in Minnesota, $70 billion in fraud in California, cooking the crime stats in Washington, D.C. When is someone in a position of power going to go to jail for the rampant
hold on
fraud?
a second.
You can put all the low-level people in jail you want, but until somebody in charge goes to jail, it won't stop.
Trump. I love how they say this is a partisan thing for the right, but we're just pointing out the fraud. They go, but Trump. Okay, got it. Larry in Clarksville, what's up, man? How are you? Larry, do you not have me in program? Is that what's going on? We recorded a holiday liner a little while ago for the New Year's show, so maybe Larry can't hear me. Larry, are you there, sir?
Hey, brother, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up, man? Happy belated Christmas, early Happy New Year. What do you got?
Well, and happy belated Christmas to you and yours. Awesome pictures. And, you know, I have a liberal allergy, especially after the last wife. And in that respect, I'd like you to go online and look up Good Little Gun Store and see what you like and let me know if I can help. I will.
Oh, this guy.
That's beside the point. The reason I called in, first of all, Tim Walz and his entire cabinet needs to be held accountable. I'm tired of seeing all of this corruption.
Amen.
And no one is ever held to account. I want to see him in an orange jumpsuit with ankle cuffs and perp walk along with his entire damn cabinet.
I'm with you, brother. 100%.
And I meant what I said about, you know, looking up that website.
This guy. You're way too kind, but I'm with you 100%. We do need to see some accountability with Tim Walz. I don't exactly have faith that we're going to see that. Do you have any faith that we're going to see that?
No, I don't, because they're all bought and paid for in Minnesota. And I spent 3 years up there, and I actually served along with the Canadian Air Force. And I know you still think I hate Canadians, but I love you.
This guy.
But listen, some of my favorite people were in the Canadian Air Force. And I've got some stories about the Canadian Air Force I could share with you off the air. But
well, I can't wait. We're gonna have to sit down. We got to do lunch soon, and I want to hear all your Canadian Air Force stories, Larry.
Listen, man, they will freak you out. But I just know I love you, man. I love your family. I love, what does Dan call her? Not by her right name.
Victoria.
Yeah, I love Miss Victoria.
Well, hey, we love you back, Larry, and I appreciate the call as always. That's Larry in Clarksville, continuing to perpetuate the rumor that I am Canadian.
Rumor.
Jeff in Clarksville, you're up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, man? How are you?
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. What do you got?
Well, I just don't think nothing's gonna happen. Nothing will happen whatsoever, and they'll get away with it, and they'll walk away rich and basically scot-free, because nothing ever happened to January 6th when we imprisoned Americans and gave them no criminal crime, and then I don't know what else. There's a whole bunch of things going on about that, and you know all about it. But nobody went to jail over that. Not even Marsha Blackburn. Did she go off and she tried to get Tennesseans, just Tennesseans who were imprisoned, out? And she didn't say anything. She said something about, because when I do call her staff, they would say, "Well, we're working hard on that." Well, yeah, they was really working hard on that. And these people would do the same thing. It would show up in the news. I mean, what little bit you talk about it, what little bit Amanda talks about it, and then it will go away, and everybody will be much richer for the situation. I mean, if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong.
No, it sucks. I feel like you're probably closer to the truth, and I want to admit that you are, Jeff. Appreciate the call. 615-737-9986. If you want to join the show, it's 1024 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, and you are down to the wire if you need to replace your HVAC system and you want to take advantage of the tax savings that are on the table. Right now, there are still some real savings on the table that are going to be going away on December 31st, 2025 at midnight. The 25C tax credit can put up to $2,000 back in your pocket on a new central AC and furnace, or up to $3,200 if you go with a high-efficiency heat pump. Those credits expire, again, December 31st, 2025 at midnight. Call Busy Bee today. On top of those savings with the 25C tax credit, you can stack TVA Energy Right rebates on top, worth hundreds more on select high-efficiency systems. And then Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling said you're not saving enough money. No. We need you to save more money. So they're going to come back and offer $1,000 off any new HVAC replacement on top of those other savings on an HVAC replacement, 15 SEER or higher. So if you're keeping score at home, that's federal credits, that's TVA rebates, and that's Busy Bee savings, all working together in a magical money-saving stew. 615-775-7833. That's the number to call. 615-775-7833, or find them online, busybeehvac.com.
20 cars of a train carrying hazardous materials has derailed, and a shelter-in-place is underway. We've got the latest for you coming up here at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. It is 10:28, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Why would you need to call our friends at Better Water LLC?
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
BetterWater.com. It's a reason. Yeah. It's a reason. I was texting with my friend Tim, and he said, I'm not what you would call a full-fledged conspiracy theorist. But what are the odds that the governor of the most corrupt state in the union was the best candidate for vice president? I don't know. What are those odds? I wouldn't consider myself a conspiracy theorist either. I'm a truth seeker who's ahead of the curve.
Just happens to follow.
It just happened. I do happen to hang out on the underbelly of the internet.
Just a little bit.
Quite often. Okay.
Sorry, just real quick. Just a little.
Just a little taste.
Just a touch.
The titch, if you will. Yeah, I think that's pretty suspicious. Pretty sus. It's also important to point out that they didn't go with Josh Shapiro because he was too Jewish. It's just also true.
Obviously.
It's just, he was too Jewish. Couldn't have that. It's a lot of baggage, apparently.
Obviously.
Apparently. I don't know. It's for the
Allegedly.
It's the Democrats. They said, whoa. Slow down there, champ. Whoa. We didn't know you did the whole Hanukkah thing. That's what they said. I think I might be paraphrasing. So how do you feel about a free Palestine? Whoa. We'll talk a little bit more about the Minnesota fraud on the way. We'll talk a little bit about immigration as well. Are you nervous about New Year's Eve? There are reports of terror attacks, terror plots. Are you changing your plans for New Year's Eve? We'll talk about that on the way as well. It's 10:30. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. A train derailment has people living in the area between Pembroke and Trenton, Kentucky, sheltering in place right now. The cars were carrying molten sulfur, and at least one of them is on fire, so hazmat crews have been called in from Hopkinsville to help with the cleanup there. Now, for the folks living within a half mile of that train derailment, you're being told to turn off your HVAC systems and wait for an all clear. President Trump hosted Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago yesterday. The pair discussing phase 2 of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza, but concerns about Iran were also top of mind. ABC News intelligence analyst Mick Mulroy.
The concern is they have about 441 kilograms of enriched uranium, up to 60%. There's no reason to have that level of enrichment for anything other than going toward a nuclear weapon.
Meantime, protests escalating across Iran, with demonstrators chanting anti-government slogans and calling for the downfall of the ruling clerics. At Percy Priest Lake yesterday, a rescue, but not a water rescue, a mud rescue. News 2 reports a duck hunter became stuck in waist-deep mud while carrying his weapon, decoys, and ammunition bag. Thankfully, he was hunting with a friend who was able to call for help. Fire crews placed several large rocks beside the stuck hunter, and he was able to climb on them to escape. That's the latest news. We've got your weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at the Glock store. Christmas has come and gone, but the Christmas sale, that's still going strong at the Glock store. A little leftover Christmas magic for you. Don't let the Christmas cash burn a hole in your pocket when the Glock store bargains are still available. And if that new firearm you were hoping for actually showed up under the tree, may I suggest a New Year's resolution of getting trained the right way, the Shoot 270 way, only at the Glock store. This is one-on-one training. This is how I train. It's how Mandis trains, Murphy trains. It's in a private shooting room with a professional instructor. I have met all of the instructors. These guys are the best, and the rooms are unbelievable. Each room features multiple full-size targets that can be moved for varying distance and angles. No 2 sessions training at the Glock store are ever the same, and you can train for real-life situations by learning to draw and fire from your concealed carry holsters. Basically, every time you're going to finish your 270s training session, you'll leave a safer, more accurate, more competent gun owner, whether it's your first session or your 50th, guaranteed. After my first Shoot 270 session, I knew that I would never train anywhere else, and I honestly haven't. I only train at the Glock store. You should only train at the Glock store. Go to shoot270.com and book a session today. That's shoot270.com, only at the Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Or are they promising you up to 10% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you have a plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Call Trajan today, 615-206-2200. That's 615-206-2200.
Annuities, non-advisory products. DBA Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions. Additional disclosures at trajanwealth.com.
This is Dr. Foley, Advanced Clinical Nutritionist DC. I've helped many people overcome thyroid issues naturally using the correct blood test and the right nutrition.
For a limited time, get your functional thyroid exam and blood test only $69. Call 615-333-0021.
I'm WSMV4 First Alert Meteorologist Stefano DiPietro. It's a cold start to our day today. Feeling like the teens as we're headed out the door this morning. This afternoon we'll stay in the 30s under plenty of sunshine. Tonight cold once again, 20s for the overnight low and mostly clear. Tomorrow we'll keep the sunshine, but it will be a warmer day back near 50. As we head to our Thursday, it's the low 50s under a mix of clouds and sun. More cloud cover Friday, maybe an isolated shower. We're in the mid 50s and we'll stay in the mid 50s this weekend.
It's 10:38, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Just real quick. Want to say once again, happy anniversary to my wonderful, beautiful wife, Virginia. A lot of years married, a lot of kids, and I always end up working on our anniversary. Fun fact, my first show ever on Super Talk 99.7 was on our anniversary 3 years ago. 3 years ago. I'd never done news talk before. And she said, yeah, skip the anniversary. Go do it. Based wife. Get yourself a based wife. Trust me. They're awesome. Happy anniversary to my beautiful wife. We got a lot to get to in the meantime. And talking about the Minnesota fraud, I feel like we've done that. We've handled the fraud, right? You feel like we've handled the fraud?
We've hit it pretty solid.
I feel like we did a good job. If you got any remaining questions, comments, 615-737-9986. You can call in. You can text in. You can jump in the YouTube chat. If you're in YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe. It's free to do. Help us grow that digital footprint. We appreciate you doing so. New Year's Eve plans. Are you nervous about New Year's Eve? Are you doing anything for New Year's Eve, Mason? You're like the young whippersnapper of the crew. Do you have a spot that you're going to go? Or are you going to watch the Music City note drop?
I was like, normally for myself, I work New Year's Eve. It's one of the biggest like tip nights that I've ever been a part of normally. And so I go to work house parties or I'll go work hotels. A lot of people are like, oh, you're working on New Year's Eve? Oh, I'm so sorry. Here's a little bit of money to like make your night a little easier. I
don't like New Year's Eve.
Say it again.
I don't like New Year's Eve.
I don't either. It's just a chance for people to go get absolutely trashed and stay up later than they normally do.
Yep. Nothing good happens after 10 o'clock, up to and including the ball dropping.
Really?
Yeah. It's awful. I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. I was like, my roommates normally host a party at our house, which is I'm happy for. I'm absolutely here for it. But last year I got home at like 12:30 a.m. I walked into my own house. The front door was locked, which we normally leave unlocked if we're all still awake. And the people who opened the door, 4 guys I'd never met, and they're like, who are you? And I was like, this is my house. I live here. And they went, oh, my bad. And got out of my way.
Oh, that's nice.
It's like, thanks, guys, for welcoming me in.
So I don't think you'd have to worry at a house party about something bad happening, but there are some heightened fears in some of the major cities around the country of what could happen on New Year's Eve. And it's a direct result of the open borders that we had under Joe Biden. 18,000 something known terrorists in the country. That's what we know. It's not the full picture, I guarantee it, but that's what we know. So Fox News was reporting this the other day, over the weekend actually, heightened fears in places like Chicago.
Chicago officials are sounding the alarm ahead of New Year's Eve. Law enforcement agencies warning this week that large celebrations, including fireworks events, could be an attractive target for terrorists, saying there are no specific threats, but they are monitoring risks such as vehicle ramming attacks or the use of drones. And in New Orleans, city officials are requesting heightened security after the FBI stopped a threat targeting Border Patrol agents. Authorities say the suspect is allegedly affiliated with an extremist group known as Turtle Island Liberation Front, the same group tied to an alleged New Year's Eve bomb plot in Southern California.
TILF.
4 alleged members of the group have been charged with conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction, providing and attempting to provide material support to terrorists, and possession of unregistered firearms. According to court documents, the defendants described plans they intended to implement following the New Year's Eve bombings, including their plans to target U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE agents, and vehicles with firearms and pipe bombs to take some of them out and scare the rest of them. And overseas, 7 countries are canceling their New Year's Eve plans, citing safety concerns.
Those countries canceling their plans overseas, Bali, Belgrade, Hong Kong, Paris, Sydney, Tokyo, Monaco. Everybody's a bit on heightened alert. And I think that a lot of it in America goes right back to the open border policies of Joe Biden. It goes right back to what we've seen because of the open border policies of Joe Biden. And don't forget, we are not even a year removed yet from the deadly terror attack that did happen in New Orleans on New Year's Eve last year when the car ramming happened on Bourbon Street. And that was an odd situation. They memory hold it as quickly as they possibly could. They didn't want to talk about it, and they just stopped talking about it. They hosed down the street, and they were open the next day. It felt off when they reopened Bourbon Street as quickly as they did. It felt really off. But, they had a Super Bowl to get to, so what are they going to do? In Nashville, New Year's Eve security is going to have heavy police presence. We're talking hundreds of officers, strict bag policies, clear bags only, prohibited items, weapons, outside drinks, backpacks, etc. And there's going to be a strong see something, say something emphasis. See something, say something.
I mean, Nashville is one of the biggest New Year's celebrations in the country. It is known as the biggest fireworks show in the country, and so a lot of people travel here out of nowhere just to see it. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they would be on high alert for that evening.
Hundreds of Metro Nashville Police Department officers, including plainclothes officers, will be deployed downtown, Bicentennial Mall, and in areas like the Gulch. Only clear bags and small clutches are allowed at the Bicentennial Mall event. No backpacks, coolers, weapons, laser pointers, outside alcohol, fireworks, or personal transport devices like scooters or skateboards are permitted. See something, say something. Attendees are urged to report suspicious activity to an officer or call 911 for emergencies. There's going to be strategic barriers in place to manage crowds and prevent vehicle threats, notes Fox 17. Everybody's aware. Everybody's aware of the tactics. Everybody's aware of the threat level. Are you going to be changing your plans because of it? Or are you going to say, screw it, this is America, and I'm going to go out, I'm going to have fun, I'll keep my head on a swivel, but I'm not going to change my plans? 615-737-9986. They're saying for attendees, keep personal belongings close, stay alert to your surroundings, say Nashville officials. Know the rules. Check the official house rules for prohibited items before you go. Call 911 for emergencies and plan transportation ahead of time. That, to me, is one of the number one reasons I wouldn't go out on New Year's Eve. The transportation aspect of it. Could you imagine? It's bad enough trying to get an Uber downtown on Saturday night leaving a Preds game. Could you imagine trying to get an Uber on New Year's Eve in downtown Nashville?
Absolutely a nightmare.
I wouldn't want anything to do with it.
No, thanks.
No. And we also understand the threat levels are very, very high. We saw the terror plot that was thwarted in Dearborn, Michigan, where they were going to go out on Halloween night. Imagine the chaos and confusion that could have been created, and then realize that could be done on New Year's Eve as well. I'm not trying to fearmonger, and I don't want to provide you with a healthy dose of fear porn. But the reality is you should be keeping your head on a swivel out there. Don't get loaded. At least try and have one sober person in your crew to be aware of what's going on, because golly, man, it could get dicey. I pray that it doesn't. I pray for safety, pray for the police, but it could get dicey. Elsewhere, this is from WSMV. The Nashville Department of Emergency Communications is asking you, please don't report fireworks. That's the headline. Nashvillians urged not to report illegal fireworks noise complaints to 911 during New Year's Eve celebrations. Not an emergency. I'm sorry that your dog is having a hard time with the firecrackers, but it's not an emergency. WSMV has a story. The Nashville Department of Emergency Communications will be fully staffed for New Year's Eve celebrations and is urging residents to help them out. The DEC has activated its Nashville telecommunicator emergency response team to support emergency responses at the downtown event, while other first responders continue to handle emergencies citywide. Dispatchers will be working side by side with first responders to help keep Nashville safe while ringing in the new year. New Year's Eve in Nashville's Big Bash is one of the biggest events of the year, broadcast to a nationwide audience. Our people are ready and proud to serve the city and its visitors. Events of this scale require extensive planning and strong partnership, and we are grateful to work closely with MNPD, NFD, OEM, and the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corps to help ensure a safe and successful celebration. If you see something, say something, but don't call us about fireworks. Report fireworks and noise complaints to Hub Nashville at hub.nashville.gov or by calling 311. If your dog Skip is losing his mind over the fireworks, you do not call 911. You call 311. It is important that 911 lines be kept open for anyone needing immediate help. And as we know, with the terror threat, with the high alertness, The last thing you want to do is be reporting fireworks if an emergency is happening. So just don't. Not worth it. Wait a few hours. Everything will be fine. Do not call 911 for fireworks. We all know somebody is still going to call 911 for fireworks. It's just the sad reality. We could tell them no. Don't do it. It's going to happen anyway. And everybody knows it.
If every instinct you have is wrong, then the opposite would have to be right.
This is true. If your instinct is to call 911 on your neighbors when they're lighting off fireworks, that's wrong. The opposite is right.
Obviously.
311. I can't. It kind of makes me chuckle to think that they actually have to. This is a news article. Please don't report illegal fireworks and noise complaints to 911. Please don't. You ever feel like you're living in an idiocracy? I feel like that often.
All the time.
All the time. This is an idiocracy headline. Please do not call 911 over fireworks. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So, New Year's Eve plans, are you changing them? 615-737-9986. 0394 says, I refuse to change my New Year's Eve plans. I will be at home asleep by 10 p.m., the same as every year. Based. 5829. We as Americans are fed up. Oh, this is about the fraud, the Minnesota fraud. We're fed up with all the fraud. We're represented by a bunch of idiots and crooks that have gotten us into debt, $38 trillion. Make it make sense. Yep, we're tired of being taxed to death and more. Sharon says, but I will be out there Ubering. She's going to be out there Ubering. God bless her. Pray for your Uber drivers, not just your first responders. Pray for the back seats of the Ubers. Pray for the back seats.
Pray that cleanup fee from Uber kicks in.
Yeah, honestly. 7679 says, I am going to celebrate, but as always, packing my cig. Based. Absolutely based. 930 in response to cities across the globe canceling their New Year's Eve celebration says, when you cancel anything due to a terrorist attack, technically the terrorists win. You're absolutely right. I wouldn't have done that, but Paris, Sydney, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Belgrade, Bali, Monaco, they said, nah, we're just going to celebrate inside. 1051, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Selling your home can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. Work with the #1 real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to markspain.com today.
Hey, this is Pastor Al, and join us on Super Talk 99.7, Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a biblical perspective.
Should kids be on this platform, period?
No, it's not worth it. It's only going to create headaches for you.
Roblox itself, it is a predator haven. There are games on Roblox like XYZ Public Bathroom Simulator. That's about 7 million visits, and the whole premise of the game is showering together with kids.
It's basically open season for sex predators on this app. For this reason and all of the others that we've talked about today, Roblox is violating Louisiana law.
If you join it, you're going to see predators, you're going to see naked avatars, you're going to see people peeing and all this sort of weird stuff. If I was a parent and I saw that, I would be outraged. I would be totally outraged. And parents aren't aware of this.
Because there is so much content and it's so difficult to monitor, and there's, 40% of their users are under the age of 13, of course it's a place where predators have learned how to network and gather and groom children.
All right, drivers, got a couple of things in the way. One is a crash over on the North Loop, and that's going southbound there at the northern split. And then a stalled vehicle blocking the right lane. That's going to be 65 southbound at Trinity Lane. And about 66 miles north of Nashville, we've had a train derail, and it's got some poisonous stuff in it. We'll tell you how it's ruining everybody's day up there, coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom, 1056, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. We got Mason Fleming producing. We're live on iHeartRadio. Tune in the FM dial. We're also live video style on Rumble and YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends. Any digital platform that you're listening or watching on has a share button, and you can help us grow the digital footprint of the radio station. It really does make a big difference, so please hit like, hit subscribe. It's free to do. We appreciate you doing so. Did you guys see Nancy Pelosi? She slithered out of her cave the other day.
I try to avoid seeing drunks in the wild as much as I can.
Did she get her hair did?
You don't have to wear a mask when you get your hair did. You know that, right? She says, what'd she say? She said, she was talking about the Republicans, obviously. Republicans you know what they've done? The Republicans in Congress have abolished the Congress.
Work together.
So if the Democrats win the House back.
Yeah. No. When?
Oh, yuck.
When the Democrats win the House back, then we will.
So
I'm sorry about the vomit that is now in your lap.
I like how the reporter just kind of ignored it.
Jonathan Crowley, like, yeah, whatever.
So how does the next Democratic Speaker of the House deal with Donald Trump? What would be your advice? You've been there.
Yourself.
You've done it.
Just do your own thing. Just be yourself.
It's funny that she says, do your own thing, be yourself. The next Democratic Speaker of the House would be Hakeem Jeffries, who is anything but himself. He is the dollar store version of Barack Obama. Buck Obama.
That's Buck Obama.
Timu Obama. Just be yourself. Does being yourself include acting like Barack Obama? Well, it does for Hakeem Jeffries.
Hakeem Jeffries is ready. He's eloquent. He's respected by the members. He's a unifier, and he will have.
You'll have no doubt it'll be Hakeem Jeffries.
None.
And I mean, do they go into investigations? Do you have more impeachment, another impeachment round, or do you try to deal with him and get something done on all the other issues?
Get something done with him on all the other issues?
Yeah.
Well, I think what you do is it's hard to get something that he will sign because of the problem that he is. But you can
because he can't read
some of the things that they may put forth.
So
of course, they have the power of the purse.
Yeah.
We have the power of the purse. He cannot. But right now,
yeah.
the Republicans in the Congress have abolished the Congress. They just do what the president insists that they do. That will be over.
So that ends as soon as you have a Democrat.
That ends as soon as we get the gavel. I don't mean to make you upset to your stomach when you hear this. It's not a definite that the Democrats win in the midterms. Historically, the incumbent party has a tough time. But the Democrats also have a record low approval rating. And we understand what happens if the Democrats get back in. It's impeachments. And Nancy said as much. Impeachments will be on the table. She didn't go outright and say it, but she danced around it. She said, no. Donald Trump is responsible for Donald Trump's impeachments.
I'm not, in terms of impeachment, unless you have I've said to people, the one person who is responsible for the impeachments of Donald Trump is Donald Trump. It's not something you decide to do. It's what violation of the Constitution he engages in.
We didn't decide to do it. Donald Trump decided to get impeached. How dare he? It's funny. She said, we're not going to go out there and do it. It's going to be Donald Trump's choice. But then literally the same day, Eric Swalwell was on MSNBC. I don't mean to dead name it, MS Now. He's on MS Now, and he goes, you're damn right we're going to impeach him. The Democrats don't have a leader, and there's no clear messaging from the Democrat Party right now, other than the Somali fraud is a right-wing conspiracy theory. That's the only consistent messaging we get from the Democrats. It's 11 o'clock. Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
It's 11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and it's cold out there. However, we just went above freezing, according to my thermometer here on Music Row. We're at 33 degrees. That's good news for all those Vols fans getting ready to take on the Illinois Fighting Illini in the Music City Bowl. Looks like we could be a balmy 38 degrees by the time kickoff arrives. Still going to be dealing with some wind chill, but I don't think anybody's going to care out there at the Music City Bowl today. Go Big Orange. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now, about 66 miles north of Nashville, a train derailment in Todd County, Kentucky has released toxic fumes, prompting a shelter-in-place order. It's about 346 people live in this community. Officials say several cars carrying molten sulfur derailed early this morning near Trenton. Residents within a mile urged to stay indoors, turn off their air conditioners despite freezing temperatures. US 41 is closed, and there's a warming shelter open there in Guthrie, Kentucky, for anyone who needs it. An aggressive flu strain is sweeping the U.S., cases climbing sharply after recent holiday travel and gatherings. ABC News medical contributor Dr. Darian Sutton says this season so far has been a tough one.
We're expecting to see flu illnesses continue, unfortunately, to rise. Not yet a peak. So far, nearly 50 million illnesses. So important to note here, the flu season this year is earlier and stronger than last year.
Health officials report this season's vaccine is a partial match, but still highly effective at preventing serious illness. Here in Tennessee, outpatient visits for flu-like illness nearing epidemic levels at 2.6% statewide. Epidemic is considered 3.1%. Nashville's at 2.2%. And both those numbers, 2.6 statewide, 2.2 in Nashville, are both up from prior weeks. Experts are urging vaccination, good hygiene, staying home when sick to slow the spread. And the nationwide crisis lifeline, launched in 2022, may be shut down in some states. ABC's Jim Ryan tells us about the scramble to find new sources of money.
988 was set up 3 years ago as an easy-to-remember phone number connecting counselors with people experiencing mental health crises. Federal funding of the state grants crucial to the program will expire next September, with no plans for renewal, leaving individual state legislatures to make up the shortfall.
And Starbucks is closing about 400 stores across the country as part of a major restructuring plan. The company says the move will focus on underperforming locations, mostly in big cities. Starbucks will also renovate more than 1,000 stores and invest in drive-through formats. The changes come after 6 straight quarters of declining U.S. sales for the coffee giant. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:06, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Just a reminder, if you need more Chris Hand in your life, I'm filling in for my friends at News Radio 102.9 in Little Rock, Arkansas this afternoon from 4 to 6. You can find that on iHeartRadio or tune in as well. And right now, we're joined in studio by my friend Josh Tifo, Senior Director for Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action, Tifo Tuesdays. We do it every Tuesday here on the Chris Hand Show. What's up, Josh? Belated Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'm thrilled to be back. One of my favorite hours of the week, and we have a lot to discuss.
We do. I'm excited, though. I'm excited to have you in here. Did you guys have a good Christmas? You got 2 young kids. Was it magical?
Oh, it was the best Christmas. Yeah, we absolutely loved it. And I know you were telling me some stories about yours. It's wild to me how you love Christmas as a kid, and then when you're a dad, Christmas is even more fun.
Yes.
And it makes me sad because of how many millennial men are too busy out there getting drunk and finding themselves, and they don't have time to get married and have kids, and they have no idea everything they're missing.
You're absolutely right. I mean, there's a new Forrest Frank Christmas album out. I don't know if you listened to it.
Not yet. I should, though. I kind of ran out of time, I guess. It's fast Christmas.
He put a song out, though. It was like Christmas. It's called Christmas Through Their Eyes. And it's all about watching Christmas through your kids. And there's so much truth to that. It made me, I got teared up. I'm such a sap now that I have kids. Like, none of these things would have ever made me tear up. But I was like, oh my gosh, it's a beautiful song. Because it's true. It takes on a whole different meaning when you have young kids in the home. It's completely different. It's a blessing that you can't describe.
Yeah, it's almost like that's the way that God wrote it up.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's amazing for them. It's amazing for us. And you look at what happens right now, in most homes in this country are broken in some sort of way, which is very sad. And that's one of the reasons why people look at having kids as a curse, because a lot of them came from a situation where they felt growing up like they were a curse and not a blessing. But the Bible is pretty straight up. Children are a blessing from the Lord. And when you surrender your marriage to God and your family to God, I mean, you can create an amazing situation for you and for your wife and for your kids.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you get to experience that.
Dude, it's the best. It's I was saying earlier, it's actually my wife and I's anniversary. And she always has my back. And my first show here was on our anniversary 3 years ago, filling in. So it's like she's always there. But you're absolutely right. It's a blessing. It's an unbelievable blessing. We got a big New Year's celebration coming up. Are you nervous about terror threats in the country? They've been reporting that high alert in New Orleans, Chicago, some cities across the globe have canceled their celebrations outright. Paris being the big one, Sydney, Australia as well. When you look at New Year's Eve celebrations in America, given what we saw under the Biden administration, does it make your hair stand up a little bit on your arms? Are you a little bit nervous?
It doesn't worry me that much more than other years. I mean, maybe in areas of the country and areas of the world where we've let radical Islam invade and take over the culture, we should be more concerned than not. But I'm not too concerned. And at the end of the day, the idea of evil people doing things to innocent people, it's been happening since Cain and Abel. So we shouldn't let that ruin our fun. But we should definitely be wary. And I know that Trump has fantastic people working at DHS and the DOJ, and they have their eyes on all that. But yeah, definitely be careful. And it's a solid reminder for all of you out there. You should be carrying a gun everywhere you can legally.
Absolutely.
Because it is your responsibility, not just to protect your wife, not just your job to protect your kids. And for you moms out there, it's your job to protect your kids when you're out even at the grocery store. Also, it is your job to be ready to help other innocent people in situations like this, especially when you see radical Islam on the rise globally as well as nationally.
Yeah, and I mean we see the fruit of the radical Islam. It's insane. Big story over Christmas break was Nick Shirley and Minnesota. Okay, is it just me? I try to unplug during the holidays. I don't want to be staring at my phone. I don't want to be glued to a screen. I do that plenty of times, right? But when I got a chance to check back in and see what was going on with the news, you see this young 23-year-old investigative journalist who posts this piece at, it has to be the best time to do it. People are unwrapping new phones and new iPads, and the first piece of content that they're hit with is this expose on Minnesota fraud, the child care fraud, What was your reaction when you saw the Nick Shirley reporting?
As crazy as this sounds, I was not shocked whatsoever, because this is the level of fraud that I expect in many blue cities around the country. And thank God we have this bold 23-year-old man who's willing to go in there and risk his life and get the story for us. It makes me think of a conversation I had with one of the more famous congressmen in the country. I won't mention his name because of what I'm about to divulge. Talking about what really needs to be done to clean up Congress and clean up D.C. And he was shooting straight with me. He said the biggest crime families in the world control various blocks of Congress. And there's a reason why we don't actually get a lot of things done for the American people. It's because if someone's not on the take and someone's not corrupt, they're scared of the people who are. And we both have a theory. We have a theory that there are enough of these crazy young alpha male Gen Z dudes who are 22, 23, 24, who are willing to risk their life to expose corruption. And it's so funny that we had that conversation days before all the Nick reporting came out. There's enough wild young alpha males out there to expose a lot of the evil that's going on. And we just got a taste of it with Elon and Doge when he began to uncover the Social Security fraud. I mean, he essentially caught millions and millions and millions of people defrauding the United States government. A problem so big that practically speaking, you can't even go out and prosecute everyone. It was a monumental problem. It's going to take a lot of work to expose evil so that we can throw it out of the American system.
When you see the amount of fraud, the billions upon billions of dollars in one state, my first reaction is, if that kind of money can go missing, we're being taxed way too much.
Oh, we could be taxed half as much in this country. So here's my dream. I would love in my lifetime to see the abolishment nationwide of the income tax. There's absolutely no reason why we should have an income tax. We should have some type of consumption tax. We can argue with the econ nerds on exactly what that should look like, but there's no reason why we can't do that. If we believe that sin taxes are effective and that if we raise the tax on cigarettes and on alcohol, it's going to make people smoke less and drink less, then why on earth are we taxing income? We want people to be making as much money as possible, and we actually want the people who produce the most value economically per hour, the richest in our society, we want them to work the most. And actually, we have an inverse incentive there, because when you tax each dollar more and more and more, depending on how much that person makes, then you are de-incentivizing them from working more. If you are a leading eye surgeon and you work 40 hours a week, we are disincentivizing that leading eye surgeon from working an extra 10 hours a week and putting that tremendous good into the economy. What if we flipped that? And the best way to do that is you just eliminate the income tax completely and you go 100% to a consumption tax. It would work very well, because guess what? Rich people are still going to consume a lot of things.
It's true. And Reagan, this was talked about back when Reagan was making movies. It was, I think the number was 250,000. And like, if you make over that, you're going to be taxed a ridiculous amount. I think it was like, they were talking 50%. I'm fudging on the numbers because it's been a while since I read it. But he goes, okay, well then I'll just stop at $250,000.
And that's what was practically happening.
And then on the movie sets, well, there goes your costume designer job, there goes your lighting guy job, there goes your camera guy job, there goes the special effects, there goes the writers, there goes the directors. And you see this ripple effect of all these jobs just disappearing because the actor's like, yeah, I'm not going to do it.
I mean, if you think about it, you want to incentivize the people who produce the most valuable goods in society to produce as much as possible. Why on earth would you not want that?
How realistic do you think it is as we move forward in this Trump administration to see the income tax gone?
Oh, it's not going to happen in the next few years. I mean, think about what we were talking about a few minutes ago. We have a very corrupt, morally decrepit Congress, and there are some good guys, and we just got one of the good guys elected here on this show, Matt. So
yep,
I appreciate everything you did to get that done. So we have some good guys there, but most of them are not good guys. This is a multi-year, maybe multi-decade process. That is why I said, as I started the segment, this is something I want to see in my lifetime. It's going to be a long haul. You have to completely recompose most of Congress.
But you do think that it's possible?
Oh, it's possible. It's possible, and someday it may even be necessary in the AI-optimized economy, where you have a small sliver of the economy who own the businesses, who are making absurd amounts of money, who are investing a lot of money in the economy. So you're going to see massive overall GDP growth, but you need to see economic growth that fleshes out in such a way that everyday goods become dramatically more affordable, affordability is the only way that the evolution of the AI economy turns out into a win for everyone. Because I hate to break it to you, in 10 years, we're going to live in a two-class system. There will be a small group of the people in the country who own most of the businesses that are hyper-optimized. If you own a small business today and you need a sales staff of 15 people and an admin staff of 10 people, in 10 years, you will probably have the same output with 5 sales staff and 2 admin staff. AI will make doing business so outrageously easy in the country, which means that if you own the business, you're going to be making tons of money and you will need fewer workers to run your business. So what are the only 2 outcomes? There are only 2 outcomes if we switch to a two-class system where you have a small group of America who owns almost everything and a large group of America who does the work. Either A, you see a national socialist moment, massive universal basic income. Elon's even hinted at this because he kind of has a little bit of a defeatist mindset in this. He thinks it's just going to happen. That will be one option. You'll have a Mamdani-style president who ushers in wide-scale new age socialism. That would be a disaster. It would be the death of the American economic system. Or number 2, starting today, we maniacally, obsessively focus on affordability. And we create a future where if you are in that section of the economy that most of us will be in, and you don't own the businesses and you're a worker in the AI optimized economy, the everyday living items, eggs and bread and homes and land and cars and bikes and everything that you need in this country, everything that's not a superfluous good, is so outrageously inexpensive that you can live a great life without making a lot of money. Those are the 2 options. Those are the 2 versions of America we're going to see in 10 years.
What do you think happens with AI in 2026? How quickly do we see this ramp up?
It will ramp up quicker than you think. So right now, a lot of leading businesses beyond that top corporate tier are beginning to think, how do I run this department with 30 people instead of 50? So it's going to ramp up quicker than you think, and it will continue to ramp up for the next several years. So for all you young listeners, especially if you're in college, you need to think, is AI going to eliminate most of the jobs in this sector? And interestingly enough, Microsoft and OpenAI released a detailed statistical study where they predict how much of each industry in the entire country will be cannibalized by AI development. Some of them were 99%. They predict that 99% of language interpreters will not have a job at the end of AI optimization. And they predict that 0% of the jobs will be taken for oil drill operators. So if you want to know if you're studying the right thing, find one of those surveys. The companies doing it are literally telling you what the future is going to look like because they don't want a socialist overthrow of our capitalist system. They are telegraphing what the economy is going to look like in 10 years. So if you're studying to be a lawyer right now, unless there's something hyper specialized that cannot be replaced, you plan on doing, I mean, please do not become a lawyer right now.
There are so many people, though, that want to fight back against the AI advancement. Is there any fighting back against what's coming with AI?
So we can fight back against it, and then China can dictate what the future looks like militarily and economically. So it's coming. And here is the kicker. It's a good thing if it is managed the right way. The idea that technology is going to make it easier to do business and produce value in America is a good thing if it is built and managed in such a way that everyone benefits, not just the people who own the businesses. It is an exponentially more important turn of the century moment, kind of like Teddy Roosevelt going up against all the robber barons who were building an economic system where they captured almost all the value, and they were essentially trying to create a two-class system where you have the hyper ultra rich who have 10 staff who work in their home. Watch Gilded Age and you'll see what that looked like. And then you have all the people who work and who barely can afford food to give to their families. And a lot of them didn't even have a robust school system, so their kids weren't learning how to read. They would go immediately into the feeder system to become factory workers. So that's the moment we're in now. And it will be, and it's kind of Trump's responsibility now, but it's mostly going to be Vance's responsibility if, Lord willing, he wins and he serves from 28 to 36. He needs to be the Teddy Roosevelt in the AI moment. And this is exactly why I endorsed him already. He was a very successful investor before he was vice president. He understands these issues well. There's a reason why a lot of leaders in the tech community, Republican and Democrat, kind of like him. It's because they know that he understands this. And think about it. Even if you're a Democrat AI tech billionaire, do you want there to be a Mamdani-style socialist revolution where everybody's assets get stolen and we just have this UBI futuristic basic income situation? Like, no, that's terrible for everybody. And it's terrible for the people receiving the UBI because they are going to see a lot of lives ruined because the dignity of work will be robbed away. We want to create a system where everyone has something to do, but everyday life is so affordable that no one's living in poverty. And that is what we can create in the next 10 years.
But there's got to be some fear there of, because you said, we feel good with Trump having some control over it. But then there's a big question mark on 2028. What does that look like if a Democrat president gets in office?
Then you could see the National Socialist moment in 28 or in 32. And here is an enormous warning sign. I don't know if you saw the Gallup poll that was done recently about the economic angst a lot of Americans are feeling. Roughly half of Americans believe we're currently in a recession, which is completely, objectively, insanely false. GDP is very strong. Job numbers are pretty strong. We're very, very far from being in a recession. Inflation numbers are looking pretty good. And yet, roughly half of Americans say that we're in a recession. Roughly half of Americans feel that the economy is very poor. And guess how many Americans believe the economy is in, quote, excellent shape?
How many?
Roughly 10%. So what the future of our economy looks like scares 50% of the country and excites 10% of the country. That's a huge, huge, huge red flag that the Democrats are building power towards this National Socialist moment where they will run a Mamdani-style candidate for president, and they will say, this is like the turn of the century. There's no Teddy Roosevelt to save you. They don't have to make that argument because most people don't care about the history. But essentially, that's what it will be ideologically. They'll be saying, there's no one here to make sure that the AI optimization happens in a fair way that's good for everyone in the country. And these people are going to crush you unless we give you a universal basic income. That is what we will fight in 28 or 32, or maybe both.
Is that going to be one of the main selling points of an AOC-style presidential campaign?
100%. They'll say Elon Musk has, whatever it's going to be at that point, has $850 billion in assets. All these companies are running everything. And you're either going to starve and be their slaves, or we're going to give you a UBI. That will be the pitch. If we do not get aggressive about making everyday goods in America, the American dream affordable, everyday goods and American dream big items like cars and houses affordable, then mark my words, I hate that I'm saying this, you will see a socialist president in the United States sometime in the next decade who runs on the UBI platform. And the biggest thing Trump needs to do, and he's going all in, I respect him so much for it, he's going all in pressuring the Fed to lower interest rates. The Fed right now is keeping interest rates artificially high so that Trump cannot follow through on his promise to make the American dream affordable, especially for young America. This will be something that if we actually have accurate history in 100 years, we will look back and say this is the most corrupt Fed in the history of any Western nation. They are artificially keeping interest rates high so that Trump cannot follow through on his core 2024 election promise of making the American dream affordable for everybody. And it's a despicable thing. Jerome Powell should be ashamed.
You're absolutely right. The key thing is that you said was if we have accurate history in the future. I got one question for you here on the text line before we hit the break. 3514 texted in, said, my son is going to MTSU for business management. Is that a good outcome with AI?
All right, here would be my advice. Instead of studying business management, unless he's close to the end and he's about to get his degree, if you have access to any entrepreneur or businessman you respect, you should go to him today and say, can my son, or maybe he asks, can I pull out of the business management program at MTSU and work for you? Can I be your apprentice? Can I be your intern? Because I'll say, I got a business degree from a pretty good school. Very thankful for it. I have learned 99% of what I know about business from my father, who built a very successful business, and from all of the amazing entrepreneurs I've met the last 11 years as I have worked at Turning Point.
Yep.
So I went to a pretty solid school and got a business degree, and that was 1% of my business knowledge. Also, we live in this age where it's so easy to learn mass amounts of information. So one thing that I do recreationally, and I kind of learn in hyperspeed doing this, is I use ChatGPT to learn about all kinds of different things. Let's say I have a free 20 minutes and I want to deeply understand why Americans feel so poorly about the economy, even though the GDP situation is great. I literally did this on the drive here. I turned on the voice version of ChatGPT, and I had them run through all these articles and all these studies for 20 minutes before I got here because I wanted to understand what was going on before we talked about this today. You have the ability to learn so much, so much more than the smartest professor in the world can know. You have access to the best of human intelligence conglomerated for you so that you can learn in hyperspeed. And most young men, they're watching porn, they're playing Call of Duty, and they're wasting money on DraftKings when you could spend that 30 minutes becoming nearly an expert on some micro issue that, who knows, maybe you're going to need to understand someday. So if he's close to getting his degree, then I would say see it through. You already have a lot of investment there. But if he's a freshman or if he's a sophomore, find a businessman you respect and go apprentice for him. You will learn more in 6 months than you will learn in the next 3 years of your degree program.
It's good advice. Josh Tifo's in studio. He's a senior director for Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. We'll have more with Josh on the way. It's 11:26. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. After the news? Yeah, I had to shift it for... All right, bet. Sorry, dude. No, you're good. You're good. We'll just be going straight to top, bottom of the hour here.
I love the questions. We should do more of those.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got some crashes to deal with, folks. 65 southbound near the northern split, and then an Antioch crash, Antioch Pike. This one's going to be at Haywood Lane. Temperatures climbing, but slowly, and let's just call it cold sunshine out there. 33 degrees. As for the Music City Bowl, the Volunteers taking on the Fighting Illini today. It looks like it could be 38 degrees around kickoff. That's a little bit better than it is right now, but that wind chill's going to be something out there for the Music City Bowl today. Go Big Orange. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now, about 66 miles north of Nashville, emergency crews are on the scene of a train derailment in Todd County. An emergency management agency director there, Ash Groves, just gave an update.
CSX train had about 31 cars derail, one of which was loaded with molten sulfur, and that's what was giving off the smoke cloud. CSX, very appreciative of them getting here as quickly as they did. They had a hazmat team on site. They have since extinguished that, or at least stopped that leak. We had a shelter-in-place order in effect this morning. We're going to lift that now. There is no threat from the incident, from the site. So, again, the shelter-in-place order has been lifted.
Yeah, that's good news because the residents up there were told to turn their HVAC systems off. It's cold up there, just like it is here. No word on the cause of that derailment. Tennessee flu activity has been upgraded to moderate. ABC News medical contributor Dr. Darian Sutton says this season so far has been a tough one.
The flu season this year is earlier and stronger than last year. And if we remember, last year was one of our highest hospitalization rates since 2009.
Here in Tennessee, health officials say cases have more than doubled in the past 2 weeks, with influenza A leading the surge. Experts still urging vaccination, good hygiene, and stay at home when you're sick to slow the spread. A Tennessee lawmaker says you should be able to grow marijuana at home. Memphis Democrat State Rep Antonio Parkinson's proposed legislation called the Freedom to Farm Act, which would give adults age 21 and older the right to grow at least 15 plants per household for personal use. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Handy for my friend Aaron Parker over at Parker Safes and Vaults in Shelbyville. You get a new gun for Christmas? Well, you got to secure it. Securing your collection is an important part of owning a firearm, but you don't want to trust a big box safe. If a teenager can flip it over, it's not a safe. Parker Safes and Vaults in Shelbyville provides real law enforcement level security. Aaron Parker is a veteran, former Air Force security, former park ranger. He runs a Christian family business these days that's been serving Tennessee since 2009, and their safes don't just protect rifles and pistols. They'll protect all the jewelry in the house, all the photo albums from fire, and all the keepsakes as well. And this December, you still got a couple days left. If you mention the Chris Hand Show, you'll receive a free gift with the purchase of your new safe. So call my friend Aaron Parker today, 931-842-6445. He'll take care of you. 931-842-6445 or go to parkersafes.com. It's 11:37, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. I got my friend Josh Tifo in here, Senior Director for Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. We were just talking about all the times Trump won elections and how it's different from all the times he was sworn in.
Yeah, many times. But hey, he only technically won twice because you can only technically win twice constitutionally. But if we had a fair count, he would have won 2020 by a sizable margin. And we're only beginning to learn the numbers there. But you look at the fraud in Georgia, you think that all this financial fraud is bad in Minnesota. In Georgia, they just straight up stole an election. I mean, who's going to jail for that stuff? I want to see people perp walked for that.
Do you have faith in seeing people held accountable? Like, I go back and forth on this, and it's like I want to trust the Trump administration, but then you don't see any results. And it's maybe I have PTSD from the Biden years where we had James Comer for 4 years saying, I'm not going after Hunter, I'm going after Joe, and then nothing comes of it. Maybe I have PTSD from the FBI under the Biden years, but I look left, I look right, and I'm like, okay, when are we going to see those perp walks like you mentioned, instead of just strongly worded letters? Why haven't we seen them yet? And why is it that Dan Bongino decides that he's going to leave the FBI because he's more effective as a radio host than as the deputy director?
So here's one of the biggest problems we have with the DC mess. You can fight tooth and nail to get patriots put in at the very top. And two of the most difficult political accomplishments Charlie Kirk had in his entire career: barely getting Pete Hegseth confirmed, barely getting Bobby Kennedy confirmed. You can fight tooth and nail to fix things at the top level and maybe 1 or 2 levels below. And then you are dealing with this behemoth of hundreds of thousands of career bureaucrats who are protecting themselves, protecting their friends. Many of them have been blackmailed. Many of them have been completely compromised. And it is impossible to fix in a few years. With aggressive, consistent, obsessive action, you can fix it in a few decades. So this is a multi-decade problem that we're going to have to work on fixing, essentially for our entire career. That's why. The reason is you can fight tooth and nail to get good people at the very top and maybe the next level or two. And 95% of these departments are run by very bad people.
It's insane, but it's accurate. We were at a private Christian school for a few years before we started homeschooling, and the principal got a little woke. And I remember saying, listen, guys, I was talking to a group of parents. Everybody was kind of up in arms about what was happening behind the scenes here. I said, even if we got him out, it's going to take 5 years to root out his hires. It's not like we can snap our fingers and get rid of all the people that he put in place that are also woke.
And I love that you brought up that example, because when you look at huge overarching civilizational problems like the corruption of Washington, D.C., it is easy to then give up and say, that's it, I'm going to move out to the country and buy 200 acres, and I'm not talking to any of you guys ever again. Instead, we need to take the biblical approach. So think about Nehemiah and what he told each of the Israelites to do. They were responsible for this little section of the wall. It was their job to build that. So what's your section of the wall? Taking on your woke principle. And for all of you listening, if you follow Jesus and you care about this country, how about instead of your 2026 resolution being, I'm going to go to the gym for 2-3 weeks before I quit, or I'm going to eat Oreos less, what if your resolution is to ask God, what do you want my section of the wall to be this year? Who do you want me to take on? What big thing do you want me and my family to accomplish for the kingdom?
It's a good way to go about the New Year resolution. I like that a lot. We were talking about the economy moments ago, and I'm in line with you. I feel like the economy is moving in the right direction, but we have this manufactured outrage by the media when it comes to the economy. And I want to play this clip from Fox News where they were talking about the realities of Donald Trump's economy.
Things are looking better on the inflation front, with the pace of consumer inflation cooling last month. You see it on your screen. The economy, though, growing by more than 4% in the third quarter, 4.3%, blowing away past expectations, a lot of that driven by strong consumer spending. How about President Trump's much-aligned tariffs? Well, we've seen record revenue this year, $200 billion collected. And when it comes to buying a home, mortgage rates keep trending lower compared to last year. Plus, you're feeling a little less pain at the pump, with gas prices also heading in the right direction. And the stock market has been loving it, with all three major averages posting big gains so far this year.
So you look at the metrics, and it feels like he's doing pretty good. I mean, I paid $2.16 for gas the other day, which was awesome, and I never thought I'd be paying that again. That felt good. The GDP coming in a whole percentage point higher than they expected. You look at countries in Europe, their GDP is at like less than 1%. So when you compare us to the world, we're doing really well. When you compare them to the metrics that the experts thought we were going to get, the percentages that they predicted, we outpaced the expectations. Why is it that everybody is trying to tell us and convince us that we're on our way to a recession?
So obviously the left is pushing that narrative because they want us to lose the midterm. And that's why the Fed is also artificially holding interest rates up much higher than they should be, because they want to hamstring Trump and keep him from delivering on his core 2024 promise, which was making the key American dream items, healthy food, a working car, a nice house with a yard. He promised he was going to make those things affordable for everyone, and they want to keep that from happening. But here's the real reason why, according to that Gallup poll that came out recently, roughly half of Americans see the economy as poor, despite tremendous GDP growth, all those positive markers we just heard in that segment. They have gone over the last 6 months from being very far from affording a decent home to a little less far, but still pretty far from affording a decent home. So you still have deep economic problems where there's a lot of people who are working 2-3 jobs who cannot afford a home. So we're going in the right direction, but we need to go in the right direction for a few years or do some things to significantly escalate that growth in the key areas where it works. To me, the number one thing you can fix that radically changes the way that people feel about the economy is home affordability. So you need to attack this from two directions. Number one, Trump needs to go absolutely scorched earth to make the Fed lower interest rates to where they should be economically. He's doing a great job of that. He's threatened to sue them. He needs to go beyond all in on that. And number two, I'd like to see this from Congress. I'd like to see Congress do a lot more to financially incentivize home builders to just put out as much product as you can. And we've talked about this too.
Yep.
A temporary fix is you get rid of a lot of the illegals in the country, because a lot of them are living in those homes and competing for those homes.
Supply and demand.
That 22, 23, 24-year-old young couples are trying to buy. So that significantly helps the situation. But this is an emergency. It's not just a political emergency for the GOP. It is a civilizational emergency for America, where you cannot work hard and then just assume that you can get decent food for your family, and you cannot just assume that you can buy them a decent house. And it is the core reason why marriage rates are falling off a cliff. It is the core reason why a lot of people who are even getting married are delaying it. It's the core reason why a lot of people who are getting married aren't having kids or are delaying having kids. They don't see a future where they're confident they can feed those kids well and give them a yard to run around in. And that is a significant civilizational problem.
How do you rewire the thinking? I was talking with one of my buddies yesterday who he's married. He's about to hit his 30s. I think he's turning 29, and he's like, I can't afford kids. My wife and I can't afford kids. And I said to him, I looked him dead in the eye. I said, well, you're never going to be able to afford it. Like, to get used to that. Have more kids than you can afford is a Charlie Kirk thing. Is it a reframing the conversation, or is it more just what we're talking about? Is it Jerome Powell and the interest rates holding things up and holding up this economy?
And really, it's both. So economically, there are all these forces that are making it far too expensive for everyday hardworking people to afford basic American dream, moving forward with your life items. But also a spiritual shift needs to happen in the hearts of a lot of young Americans, where we value getting married young and having lots of kids more than we value driving a nice car, more than we value going on nice vacations, more than we value buying a Rolex as soon as we have some measure of financial success. After your second promotion, you're burning all your cash on some item like that, or a Chanel bag. So yes, there needs to be a spiritual shift, but I am seeing a lot of young Americans who want the American dream. They want to get married young. They want to have lots of kids. And I see this specifically with young men. They know that the numbers don't add up. They know that they work 1 or 2 jobs and they are barely paying for their life now. And yes, there are some superfluous expenses they can cut, but we need to make buying a home dramatically more affordable. We need to make buying basic healthy food dramatically more affordable, because, I mean, unless you are making a lot more than most of your 22, 23, 24-year-old friends, you're just not buying a house in our economy. And that is a significant civilizational problem. It is a civilizational problem that would have wrecked almost any other nation. And we're leading to this dystopian future where finance companies are spending billions of dollars building starter home communities that are just purely rental communities. We're creating a nation of renters, which crushes the human soul when you don't own something, and also makes it dramatically more difficult to convince that person to become a citizen, to care about what's going on politically in the country. They're more likely to use their extra money flying to Tahiti and drinking Bud Light every night at the bar than they are saving for the future and getting married and having kids if they feel like they don't have a stake in this country. And that is exactly what the left wants to create. The left wants to create a future where they crush this whole trad wife movement and all these based young Gen Z men who have this desire when they're 21, 22, 23 to get married young and have kids and become a real citizen in this country, have a stake in this country. They want to crush their soul and say it's not going to happen. Go rent and go to the bar every night. That is the left's big plan. That's Satan's big plan for America. And the church needs to come in and preach the gospel to those kids and say that instinct you have is correct. It is from God. It's the way he wants you to live your life. Stand firm, work harder, and we'll help you get it done. And politically, we need to come in, and Trump needs to go scorched earth against the Fed. And we need to push Congress to actually do something to incentivize housing companies to build more supply beyond what they're doing now. So there are two ways we need to attack it. But if this is not properly handled, combined with what we talked about with the AI optimization economy and what that's going to look like the next 5-10 years, there will be a national socialist moment that takes over the entire country.
And I pray that we don't see that. I truly do. Trump does seem like he's going more on offense against the Fed. He was talking about yesterday with his meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, who's taking questions as he always does, and he was asked about Jerome Powell and the Fed, and he said, I might sue them, and he's going to sue them based on the over exorbitant costs of the construction project going on. But is this the kind of offense that we want to see more of?
That was supposed to help get her elected. It had no impact. We won all 7 swing states. But no. We're thinking about bringing a suit against Powell for incompetence, because think of it, these aren't outstanding buildings. These are small buildings. He said $4 billion more. It's going to end up costing more than $4 billion. $4 billion. It's the highest price of construction. Again, Democrats, highest price of construction per square foot in the history of the world. There's never been. Gorgeous monuments are built for a much smaller price. So we're thinking about bringing a gross incompetence, what's called gross incompetence lawsuit. It's gross incompetence against Powell.
If they bring that gross incompetence lawsuit, does that light a fire under Powell to do the right thing, or does that make him dig his heels in more to fight against Trump?
So I love that Trump's doing it. I'm afraid that Powell is just going to dig his heels in. But the irony is so thick. Trump is threatening to sue him over gross incompetence because he's spending $4 billion to rebuild something, when this man is artificially keeping interest rates high so that young couples cannot buy homes so that they're not satisfied with the Trump presidency. Think about how dark and strange and twisted that is. And I know we could rant about this all day, but it's almost New Year's. So let's talk about something a little different. What are your big resolutions? What are some habits that you want to change in your life in 26?
I definitely need to read the Bible more. I tried, and I was doing good, and then I fell off, and I got to get back on it. And I was doing really good, actually, reading it every single night. And that is a big thing that I want to do in 2026. What about you?
That's amazing. And one thing that I do sometimes, I should do it more. If there's a certain section of scripture that I'm just really interested in that time, I'll just binge listen to a whole section of it while I weight lift. And you kind of get lost in the narrative and in the story, almost like you're listening to an Audible book.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've really enjoyed. No, that's fantastic. I need to become a better listener. And if my wife's listening to this right now, she's going to laugh. But
I will also add that into mine if my wife is listening as well.
I need to be a better active listener. And I just, you know that I talk a lot. And
Josh, don't. I don't believe that.
Like the Bible says, I need to be slow to speak, slow to become angry, and quick to listen. And there's a lot of wisdom that comes from that. There's a lot of wisdom that's gleaned from others when we listen to their heart. And that's something that I need to be great at all the time. That's my big thing, is I want to be a better listener in 2026.
What are some predictions that you see for the country in 2026? Where are we going? What's the direction?
So I'm going to add a fork in the road. if Trump is successful with pressuring the Fed into significantly lowering interest rates, you will see this prosperity unleashed in the country that gives us a shot at winning the midterms, that puts us in a very good place going into 28. And if he is not successful with that, you are going to see growing mainstream cultural momentum, even amongst people who call themselves Christians, for a national socialist movement that founds itself on the idea of universal basic income. We're going to see one of those two things happen in 2026.
Scary or really positive.
Yeah.
No in between.
It's pretty wild. And regardless of what happens politically, I want to see the church get a lot more active in reaching young people and just shamelessly telling them what God's way for their life looks like. I see young America so hungry for spiritual truth right now. They don't want a TED Talk and a rock concert.
Yep.
They want hard-hitting gospel truth. And I'm seeing a lot of churches in this community focus more and more on that. I'm seeing some churches around the country focus more and more on that. And here's another prediction. God will bless beyond measure the pastors in the churches who are unashamed to speak the gospel and unashamed to talk about the tricky issues in culture. And you're going to see churches shut down that do not, because people are going to just stop showing up.
Yeah, I think that's an on-point prediction. Josh Tifo, Senior Director for Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action. How can we keep up with you over the holiday and more in-depth and hear more from you?
Follow me on everything at Josh Tifo, THIFAULT, at Josh Tifo, THIFAULT. And I'm going to throw in one more shot that's going to be wildly unpopular.
Okay.
If you stop drinking alcohol entirely in 2026, your life will get markedly better. And you may be one of those people saying, oh, well, I only drink every now and then. So every time you drink, your body goes into overdrive to remove ethanol from your body, which is a toxin to the human body. You can ask Grok or ChatGPT if ethanol is a known toxin to Homo sapiens. You have to say it that way. Otherwise, they give you some stupid social answer like, many cultures accept drinking and it's wonderful for celebrations. They'd be like, no, tell me if it's a toxin to a Homo sapien. And when you ask it enough questions to clear all the ridiculous fluff, it'll be like, yes, this is a toxic substance to the body of a human being. So if you're somebody who's not an alcoholic and you just drink every now and then, every time you drink, you are harming your microbiome, your positive bacteria in your body, which keeps you from getting sick, especially keeps you from getting sick from stomach viruses. So if you don't like getting stomach viruses, one of the best things you can do is just never drink alcohol. And then secondly, it significantly disrupts your hormone production because a lot of your body's energy that would normally go towards making the substances your body needs to thrive will temporarily be shifted to try to remove this toxin from your body. So take my word for it. If you just decide, I'm going to test it, 2026, I'm not going to drink any alcohol, multiple areas of your life will get better.
I'll co-sign that for sure. It has made my life incredibly better, stopping drinking. Josh Tifo, thank you for the time. As always, 11:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand here for my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. Here's a New Year's resolution for you. Stop ignoring the red flag warning signs in your home. If water is getting into your crawl space, water is getting into your basement, it's not going to stop on its own. It's just not. It's actually only going to get worse. That water is going to create mold. You don't want your family breathing that in. Even worse, that water could create wood rot. That wood rot leads to foundation issues. Nobody wants a crumbling home around them. So call the best, call USS. Call the guys that have been doing it since 1994. Call the guys that aren't going to send a sales guy. They're going to send an expert. And they have no problem telling you if it's a small, cheap, easy fix. And they're well equipped to come up with an extensive plan if you need it. These guys are the best. There's a reason why they've been doing it since 1994. So when it comes to your home in 2026, don't kick the can down the road. Call the people I trust, United Structural Systems, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, or find them online, USSTN.com.